Welcome to Season 7 of True Blue Conversations with your host, Adam Bloom. Real talk with those who pledge to keep us safe with grit, sacrifice and determination. Let's get on with the show. This episode of True Blue Conversations is proudly brought to you by Loudon Private Wealth, the team trusted by professionals, veterans and families across Australia to build real long-term financial security. If you want to take control of your finances, protect your future and build real generational wealth, Loudon Private Wealth are the people you want in your corner. They don't do gimmicks, they don't do hype, just smart strategy and honest advice, coupled with real-world experience. Check out the links in the description to contact Warren and the team via loudonpw.com.au or 02 8313 0418. Now let's get back to the show. This episode of True Blue Conversations was brought to you by Dead Reckoning Rum, creating individual rum releases commemorating the diggers lost in Afghanistan, proudly supporting veterans, donating 50% of all their profits to veterans organisations around Australia. Look up Dead Reckoning Rum, buy some bottles, connect via Instagram and Facebook and give them your support. Now, let's get back to the show.
G'day, welcome back to True Blue. Today I'm joined by a special guest, a mate of mine who we've been teeing this podcast up for, it's been a while now that we've been teeing this up, and he had a very distinguished career, served for 26 years, and actually was in the medical side of things, which I haven't had a lot of medical guys on. I've only had a couple, Mick Slattery from 2nd Commando Regiment, Coco McQuilty Quirk, and I've had a couple of other Navy medics on, but it's good to have him on to have a chat and talk about his career and his life after service. And he's come down to my home in Port Macquarie, so it's great to welcome him here. And, mate, Damo Batty, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks, Adam. It's great to be here, mate, and thanks for welcoming me to your home.
Nah, mate, we've just cracked a beer, and we'll drink that throughout the chat, mate. But cheers, Damo, before we get into your military career, let's go back to a young Damo. Talk me through life growing up. What was school like? Do you have any brothers and sisters? And did you play any sport?
Oh, mate, so growing up I had a really blessed childhood. It was a great childhood, mate. Older brother, Craig, we're 22 months apart, and a younger sister, my sister Sherilyn, or she's affectionately called as Sheb, and she's a couple of years younger, so really tight, like small, very tight, age gap between the three of us.
Did you suffer the middle child syndrome?
Well, I don't know if I really did. I think actually, I think I played one off against the other, quite a bit. Sometimes my brother ganged up against me, and I ganged up against him, and then I ganged up against my sister. I mean, there was a bit of about everything. But when you're that tight, you do have quite a bit of, quite a few arguments. But mate, so we had a great childhood. Born in Gosford, New South Wales, and my very first home was Umina, or Armana, or
Central Coast.
So
Central Coast boy, yeah. Coastie, right, yeah. Coastie, yeah.
Down to the beach. So beach kind of lifestyle, and Dad was a policeman at the time, and Mum was a nurse before, a registered nurse, and when he was, police and nurses, it seems to be some kind of thing. Yeah. And we moved from the coast to Dubbo when I was quite young. I think I was about 4. And Dad picked up a job out at Dubbo as a police prosecutor. Okay. Never win an argument with my father. He always seemed to also pick out the bullshit. Never bullshit the bullshit artist, but he could see through a lie.
Was he tough? Was he tough?
Yeah, right. Very tough.
Because what year were you born? What are we like?
74, mate.
74. Yeah, so you're so 70s and 80s. You're going through. We don't have the wokeness that we have now.
Oh, no.
Like it
none
was
of that.
hard discipline.
Oh, mate.
The belt, I remember that as well. Mate, I grew up with that as well. So.
We It was hard discipline, but it was the right type of discipline. I think it wasn't, beaten black and blue. It was, you did the wrong thing, you owned up to it, or and it wasn't so much, the wrong thing was the wrong thing to do. It was if you lied about it, and you got pulled up for it, and I think that's a fair thing.
But I think what that does too is it sets the standard and it sets morals that like everyone knows, mate. That in the army, there's the word Jack. Don't be Jack.
Exactly.
So it sets you on it gives you a good foundation going forward with you, into being an adult.
The word responsibility, I think, came in. Mum was a Christian. Mum brought us up in a Christian lifestyle. We went to church every Sunday, Sunday school, youth group sort of thing as a young kid. Dubbo early in our life, and then Dad left the police. He spent 14 years, I think it was, or 13 years in the police force, and then we moved back to the Central Coast. So, and that was when I was around 6 or 7. So we moved back to the coast, and they built a house at McMaster's Beach. What a life! What a life! Surf club days, nippers, sport, soccer. Rugby league.
Yeah, soccer. I played that as well, yeah.
Any kind of sport. Tennis. Mum tried to get us into music. Music was a huge part of our growing up. Mum tried to get us into piano, but I couldn't concentrate. I just wanted to be outside. I just wanted to get into anything and everything. In the pool, in the beach, nippers, in the back. We were lucky enough to back onto a very large property which was owned by a local solicitor. Mm-hmm. We built cubby houses, BMX tracks, played war in the backyard. We had cubby wars where the kids would try, we'd have standoffs and we'd be throwing things over the kids and, rocks, branches, you name it.
Yep.
I remember
the old
run out of
slingshots
ammo when you fill a bucket full of spit. The
old slingshots
slingshots, and then Mum would come down and stop everything. Stop everything. Here's the ice blocks, and then the war would stop, and off it would go. It would be sensational. But great lifestyle. Horses.
Yep. So what was school like? Were you good at school?
I would say average. I was keen at school. I liked school, but I could never concentrate. I would probably say that there's a little bit of ADHD in there, maybe on the spectrum.
Well, I
couldn't sit still.
ADHD.
I need to be outside.
Yeah, I'm the same. My childhood was always, until I got medicated,
there was no such thing as ADHD back then. Everyone was
you're just a hyperactive kid.
You'd just be hyperactive.
Yeah. So you go into high school. You as you say, you're an average student. Did you have, obviously you said your dad served as a police officer, but did you have any other family members that served in the military, or were you
None
the
at
first?
All. Yeah, well, I was the first.
So where did that come from?
Well, I think the service ethos was pretty much drilled into me. Encouraged, not drilled into me, but encouraged. I think Dad was into every volunteer organisation. There was Lions Club, there was... he's a Rotarian now, but Lions and Apex. My grandfathers were in volunteer organisations. My maternal grandfather, Milton, he was in the Lions Club and Apex. I remember him always selling tickets in the local store every weekend.
Yeah, right.
Volunteer organisations, every surf club, huge part of our lives. Volunteer surf lifesaving. I was a cadet early, Navy cadet.
Navy cadet. Yeah, right.
Sea Scouts, Boy Scouts, everything that came with service, and I took great pride in service, volunteer service. There was Red Cross. There was. Working for the Salvation Army at times, and I believed in that service, and I took great pride in the country, in the nation, and Dad believed in it too. Service to the country.
And with that, I want to just touch on this point that your dad was in the police. Did he ever try and sway you to join the police, or was it, nah, I'm going, this is it, I'm going military?
From the young age, I really wanted to join the police force. I think the police force was not a clear way for me, but I wanted to join the Navy. I was in Navy cadets.
Right.
Navy early. I was in the surf club. I tried to, when I was in the surf club, I threw myself into nearly every award. So bronze medallion, advanced life-saving certificate. I picked up patrol captaincy. I was one of the youngest. In fact, I was the youngest chief instructor at the surf club at the time. I was, a 18, 19-year-old teaching, 40, 50-year-olds for their bronze medallions, and loved it. Loved every minute of it. A lot of trauma at the time too, for a young guy going from school and into university, studying nursing, and this is before the Navy rejected me at school. I went for a Navy scholarship at school for graduating school, and they said, "Well, actually, you haven't done enough team sports." So I did cycling and I did cricket, and what do you mean haven't done enough team sports? But sunk myself into every other team sport. But surf lifesaving wasn't enough for them, so.
Well, they're lost in the end, mate.
Then I went down the track. Okay, well, I'll do nursing. And so at university, I was studying nursing. To get myself through nursing, I was a lifeguard during the summer season. Great job, by the way, a paid lifeguard, working for the Central Coast Council at the time, Gosford City Council. And again, that exposure to emergencies and trauma, a lot of rescue, and it's not just the surf rescue. You respond to stuff in the car park, the elderly guy having a heart attack, or someone having an asthma attack, or someone having an anaphylactic fit to a bee sting in the park. That's the sort of trauma you're responding to.
Did you ever have anyone that was like drowning? You had to.
Oh yeah, definitely. We had. So the McMaster's Beach is a funny kind of beach. You've got a patrolled side, and then you've got Copacabana on the other side. Well, where Copacabana, for those that don't know, it's not Copacabana in the down in Brazil or South America side. It is it's the northern part of the beach of what they call Alligator Bay, where our illustrious Prime Minister has bought a $4 million property.
Thanks, taxpayer.
Thanks. Yeah.
Good on you. Yeah, good on you.
I won't go politics.
Flog.
Maybe,
Sorry,
but in the middle there's an unpatrolled part, and I remember we had one rescue, or one part was a couple of I think it was a couple of Asian tourists that went in, and it was a pretty heavy day, and they were unresponsive. It was a rescue, and it took us a bit to get to them. And this is before the days of jet ski and whatever else. So we'd had to, either haul ass down there with a board and go and pick them up. And one you just couldn't do anything for, or you just do resus for 45 minutes while we wait for the ambulance, because to get from Gosford, where the ambulance station was, to McMaster's, and on the days that was a goat track. Yeah,
okay.
You'd be waiting like 45 minutes. So you'd be, rotating resus, and before you had a defibrillator.
Yeah.
You're just doing compressions for, maybe an hour before the ambulance gets there with the defibrillator, with the drugs on board. And, that does, take it out of you. And if you can't get a response after that, you say, well,
you got to wait.
You remember it.
Yeah, and you got to wait for the paramedics to call it.
That's right.
They're the experts.
Yeah, that's right. And but you just don't give up. You don't give up. So those days were formative. And for someone who's 18 or 19, you're exposed to that sort of trauma early, and even our younger lifesavers, as they're 18, 16, 17, they're just getting their bronze at the age of 16, 17, and they're exposed to that sort of trauma.
And it's a really good point you touch on there, because I recently attended one of my mates' wedding. It was their reception. They got married overseas, and he was an ex-copper, and I went to his reception, and there was a whole heap of police, ex-police that were there, and we were talking about trauma, and we were talking about, and it's good. We'll get to joining joining the army in a minute, but I want to highlight with you and get your opinion, because we were talking about these young kids now that they're 19, 20, that are joining the police, and they're exposed to that trauma, and I know it being a fiery, the traumas that I've seen. Once, as you know yourself, once you see them, you can't unsee them, and we're all we're all saying that we think that they should up the age to 25, that you actually join the police because you got a bit more life experience, and don't be in such a rush to join at a young age, because the things, and as you said, 18, you're doing compressions and trying to revive someone. That's with you forever. You're never not going to forget what, when you're doing compressions. And what do you think of that?
Well, your brain's not fully, as a male particularly, your brain's not fully developed until you
late
do
20s,
reach that late 20s, and you're making decisions that, your frontal lobe's not really fully developed. You're making something. I mean, how many stupid things did we do when we were young?
Yeah. Still,
and then
sometimes.
Then you had alcohol. But tough one, because we're considered adults at the age of 18, and we're making decisions adult decisions. We're expected to make good decisions or informed decisions.
But you're still a kid.
Yeah, we're still kids. I mean, joining the military at the age of 17, 16, 17. And we can sign up at that age.
And with that, because sorry to cut you off. With that, to cut you off, because do you think, and a lot of veterans that I've spoken to, when they signed on at 17, they've looked back now, and the gravity of that they could, they signed a blank check that it could be that they would die in service, and a lot of them at 17 said, yeah, we just signed a bit of paper, but then they've actually thought back and gone, well, that was actually a pretty big decision to say that you may give your life for your country. And you were a little bit older when you joined. Did you knew the risks? Like when you signed up for the army, you knew that it could potentially put you in harm's way, and you comprehend that as a little bit older. But when you're young, mate, you think you're bulletproof.
I was at the ripe old age of 21.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And I look at my eldest daughter. She's 25 and a high school teacher. And I still look at her and go, wow.
Yeah.
She's 25 and a high school teacher.
And you signed on at 21, mate.
I signed on at 21.
And that's
with a few years I was in Bougainville.
And that's the thing. You look at it, and it's you think now, especially as you've gotten older, mate, you think back to those younger days and go, wow, like your daughter's now a teacher, and you think, wow, 25, a teacher. Well, you were 21, mate.
We can have children at the age of, 14?
Yeah, 14. That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
But mentally, are we prepared? That comes down to, I think that really comes down to parenting, the education system, and how well trained we are. So I think how prepared and well trained we are to take on that responsibility. And I think we're putting a lot of us, some of us, not a lot of us, I think some of us are putting too much hope and weight on the government to make decisions for us. But look, again, are we making...
We won't go down that path.
There? Yeah. Or government are saying what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing. Or others are telling us what we should and shouldn't be doing. But I think... put the responsibility back on the parenting and how well prepared. And I think for my parents, my father and my mother, and I'm putting a great deal of credit upon those on how well prepared I was to see those things, and also to talk about it. I put a lot of I have a lot of thanks for my Christian faith as well.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yep.
So if whatever your faith is.
Some don't have it. That's up to them.
And knowing, okay, well, I've turned away from my faith a lot of times, and that's because of temptation, and we're human and we're fallible. But when I turn back, I know that I have that. I have a lot of thanks in my parents and the great mentors I have around me. And in the surf club, I had some amazing mentors. and I had some people to turn to, and they've seen the things that, you know, when as a young man, that they've seen the same kind of thing. And they go, well, okay, how do you deal with it? How did they deal with it? And we talk it through. And there was no real there was some formality, but we're talking 35 years ago, you know, when I was that age, 16, when you're doing a rescue and you got, you know, a kid that died, or you got someone my age or someone older that, you know, fell victim to drowning or something else, or, you know, massive fin chop. You know, they can do some damage. Yeah. And a lot of blood in the water, and you know, water and blood that looks brutal. Yeah. You know, that can be pretty horrific. And I fell victim to a couple of self-inflicted wounds myself. You know, broken arms, broken legs, or broken head open. Mate, I had a inflatable rescue boat, IRB rubber ducky, land upside down on my head after bringing it in at the end of the day. Didn't lose consciousness or anything, but I remember my crew, I was 19 at the time, and the next day I was due to start my first shift as a lifeguard, and carved my head open like a, you know...
I can see the scar. I can see the scar,
not the frontal lobotomy from Duntroon, but I do tell that story.
Yeah.
And it was spurting out like a fountain. I said, what are you looking at? A 16-year-old, my crew. And she goes, I'm going to get help. Well, what are you getting help for? It goes, just wet.
Yeah.
And she says, you're bleeding. I said, where? Your head. And I put my hand on my head. I look at my hand and said, oh, yeah, I'm bleeding. So I put my hand on my head, walk up the beach, and it was a Sunday afternoon. It was the 19th, I think it was the 19th of December.
Yeah.
It was. It was
coming up to Christmas time.
And the bar at the surf club was packed. It's a Sunday afternoon session. Everyone's in Christmas mode, right?
Yep.
Sunday, next day was a Monday. Everyone's getting pissed at the surf club. It was it was about 6, 7 o'clock at night. The beach is closed. I'm closing the beach. The duck's on the beach, trying to drag it up the beach. I'm pissing blood out of my head. It's pulsing out of the top of my head.
Yeah, right.
At the age of 19. It might explain a lot of things about why I am like I am. And I'm dragging this duck up the beach. And she's running up. My boss is the lifeguard boss, Craig Healy. If you listen out, Craig, mate, you might remember that day. And it's piss and blood. I'm holding on. I'm walking up the beach, and Craig's come down, Healy, and he goes, "What the fuck have you done, mate?" And I take my hand off, and he goes, and spurts blood out at him. It's like arterial, tiny little bloody artery.
Yeah.
You know what scalps bleed like?
Yeah, yep.
And he goes, oh, shit, put your hand back on. And she takes me into the first aid room, sits me down, and there's a crowd watching it. They're all the old as molds, you know, life members and the pip ants up on the top of the surf club.
Yep.
When you got 2 beers on tap, 2 is old, 2 is new. Right? That's what I cut my teeth on at the surf. Anyway, I'm down there and they call the ambulance and I've got this big bandage on my head. Someone's called my father. We're 5 minutes from the beach, just up the hill. And Dad comes down pissed off. And the ambos are turned up and he comes down. What the fuck have you done, Damo? You bloody idiot. You're due to start work the next day. And Craig goes, Don, have a look at this. And he pulls off the bandage. And it spurts blood at his head. I've never seen him so white. And he walks out of the room and takes off.
And he's been a police officer and seen more gory things.
Oh, yeah, he worked for the coroner.
Yeah.
Right.
I
mean, and again in the 60s or late 60s, early 70s, you know, those guys have been exposed to all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's his own son too.
Yeah,
it's different.
Oh yeah,
it's different.
But you know, no doubt he's got PTSD.
So what did you cut yourself on? What was it?
So
was it
I think it was the cowl of the engine, a 25 horsepower motor. So you know, we'll pull at the end of the day. I'm pulling the cans in. So a can, you know, float with a concrete weight on it. We're pulling them in at the end of the day. And the southern corner at Masters Beach has got a permanent rip, but that's where all of the seaweed gets stuck. And one of the cans had got stuck in that. We're pulling it in, and weed got stuck in the prop guard.
Yep.
And I went, oh, great. And it's just a tiny little surf, hardly any surf left in the end of the day, low tide. I said, all right, let's turn the engine off and surf the bloody thing. And my crew, 16, 17 years old, like 30 kilos wringing wet.
Yep.
She's on the back of the pontoon. I'm turning the engine off. Tiny little wave flips us. I'm literally flipped onto the sandbar, standing up, and the top of the engine deflects off my head. Thank God it didn't come down direct or would have broken my neck.
Yeah, you would have been dead.
I'm like, geez, something just reflected off my neck.
Right.
Now, got all the safety gear, helmets and neck braces. The whole works for the day.
Not in the late 80s.
So that's kind of my lifestyle. We grew up.
So what they do? Did they stitch it?
They took me to hospital and sewn me up, but the registrar at the time, or the resident, sewed all the hair into the wound, and when you do your buttons up the wrong way, you miss a button.
Yeah,
that's how he sewed it up. And there's a big flap in the way, and they kept me in overnight.
Yeah, right.
Observation, I guess, concussion. But
yeah,
the next morning, the surgical registrar looked and said, "Mate, I'm undoing that. I'm doing it again.
I've got to do it again."
Shaved the hair off. Turned up to work the next day with a big zipper on my head. And no hair. I said, mate, we'll just shave the whole thing off. And so the lifeguards looked at me, laughed at me, and they nicknamed me Badger. That's bald as a badger, mate.
Well, mate, I'm bald as a badger now. So, yeah, it's a good nickname. And so let's go forward to 1996, mate. So you have that rejection from the Navy, and then
I did 3 years of nursing, 3 years of nursing degree, and then nursed for a year or two. Did my postgraduate year, and then so I was a fully qualified registered nurse. And I actually still want to join. And while I was at university, one of my best mates at uni was a bloke called Brett Higginbotham. He was a parachute surgical team guy. Worked with 3RAR, and he was nursing, and I think passed with honours. We talked a lot at uni, and he basically said, "Yeah, do it, mate. Just join. You'll love it," and convinced me to. Not convinced. I didn't take much convincing.
So, talk me through the process back in '96, because our younger listeners who listen to this wouldn't realise that back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the internet didn't exist. You had to pick the phone up, make a phone call, ring recruiting. Talk me through that process in 96.
In 95, I applied and went down to the recruiting office in Gosford and said, I want to sign up. And they said, well, you can go to Duntroon and you can still go to nursing corps, but you're going to do the full course. I said, well, I don't care. And I didn't really care if I went to nursing corps or any other corps. And because as a nurse, as a special serving officer, you do it's called a knife, fork and spoon course. That's a nickname of what GSOs or General Service Officers call SSOs, because all you got to identify is how to use your knife, fork and spoon in order at a dining in night. So in what order you got 10 knives and knife, fork and spoon.
I've been to a dining in night, I know.
So which ones do you use in order? So that's your knife, fork and spoon course. That's not how it really goes, but there's the
perception
GSO,
is there.
SSO. You're an officer in like a heartbeat, but whereas the ADFA and the RMC graduates have to, or courses, you have to go through the pain or the bastardisation or the hazing. No, that doesn't happen anymore. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yes,
but you don't have to march a square, whereas these guys just turn up, and but that's the perception. Whereas I went, you can do that. So I went through all the selection process, and you did, got through the aptitude testing, the fitness, the basic fitness stuff, the medical, and sometime during late '95 when I was still nursing, I got been waiting for the acceptance or non-acceptance. I know I'd made the shortlist. So I think I might just give recruiting a call. And they said, well, you made it. You'll get the letter in the mail the next day. I couldn't believe it. So I went back to Gosford Hospital where I was working at the time. I'm putting my resignation in. I'm going to Duntroon. See you later.
See you later,
at the end of the year. I'm 96. turned up 15th of January to my. It was not a. I forgot the name of the ceremony. It's not a commissioning ceremony because you're not commissioned yet. It was, and it's not the. You can edit all this bit out. But,
Yeah.
It'll come to me. But the ceremony, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. Anyway, and I was driving because it was coming from Sydney. I went down to Sydney, and I drove down to the School of Cool at Royal Military College.
Yep.
Corps of Staff cadets.
Duntroon, yeah.
Beat the bus, and they said, "Well, Kokoda Company." So day one, waited for the bus to arrive, and then all hell broke loose.
So, talk me through that, because
It's a culture shock.
you go as an officer, and I've spoken to McQuilty, I've spoken to Slats, who went through. They were NCOs, so they went through the non-commissioned. Being that you went a commissioned, I did have a good friend of mine who's in the Air Force, Sharon Bown, on. So, yes, Sharon's a lovely, and go back and listen to her episode.
Quality human.
Unbelievable human. And so go back and listen to her episode. But she joined the Air Force. Mm-hmm. You're in the Army. Talk me through that process, because I've spoken to a lot of veterans who were NCOs that went to Kapooka and got absolutely drilled and bastardized,
Bastardized.
That's it, bastardized. Yeah. So
Bastardization technically is not going to happen.
But we're talking late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. Well, I would say that it was a culture shock. We are broken down to work, first of all, work as a team and look after each other. To work to a timeline, so a sense of urgency, and not to be selfish, and you might be great at something and might be doing something, but if you're great at something, help your mate do something.
Don't be Jack. Yeah.
Don't be Jack, and work to a timeline, and to pay attention, listen to your seniors, and to work together, and basically get you working as a soldier. So the first week is to get you out of that civilian mode, to get you working as a well-oiled, and that first week is to prepare you to get out bush. You're coming from being a civilian and getting up in your own time, and all right, my wardrobe is a shit fight, or my bed is a really shit fight. No idea how the timeline works and whatever else. Don't know how to, I just eat at my own leisure, and then I don't know how to march around. And they've got to achieve a certain standard before they get us on a bus with all our military kit in a uniform out to military basic training in the bush. So into a field setting to learn how to operate a weapon system, to learn how to navigate section up to to section level, right? So to work as a team, how to patrol, defensive and offensive in a patrol, PT to a certain standard, fitness to a certain standard, making all these standards to learn how to be a soldier and live in a field. A soldier, not as an officer, and that takes 6 to 8 weeks, in the bush, and we are inducted. It's called induction week. Are inducted by the senior class of the time. So we're inducted by, at the time, our second class. We didn't have a first class, and the second class were an ADFA class that came in straight away from ADFA. So the way it works is Australian Defence Force Academy, graduate the academy and come straight into second class and into second class, and they do the last year, so their fourth year. It's at Duntroon, whereas we were what we call a baker class. A baker class is we're half baked. Sorry, not baker class. Baker class. Where they say we're half baked because we're half baked. We didn't do the university degree. And
but you've already done that, though.
And they're called bed fillers because all they are is filling beds.
Yep.
Numbers. I've already done a degree, but that doesn't matter.
Because you hadn't gone through ADFA.
Hadn't gone through ADFA.
Yeah.
So we're bakers and they're bed fillers. Some did it better than others. Some loved it, but some took great joy in bastardising or getting us screaming at us. But hey, we had to do it too to our third class. So when we were first class, we did it to our third class. We inducted our third class, but there was certain goals we had to make and get them to achieve and jump through before they came out. Did it. So
because the first thing that, and for our non-military listeners, mate, the core job of joining the military or joining the army is soldiering, isn't it? Soldiering comes first. So before you're nursing, before becoming a medic, it is you are trained to be a soldier first.
Even the standard, the principles, your ethics, your ethos, learning the screed, which is the history of the place. Great deal of pride to be a cadet at Duntroon. It's got a lot of history behind that place, and it's beautiful. And to be at the Royal Military College as a staff cadet, an officer cadet, it's the cream. To be an army officer and to lead the best soldiers in the world, what a privilege!
Absolutely,
it's an honour.
Yeah.
And so there's something worse than being a recruit, and that's being a staff cadet. But the staff, amazing. You have the best staff in the army at that college. That's why you have to be the best at that college. We have the best drill sergeants. We have the best military staff, the best field craft personnel there. And the COs have got to be top notch. Your OCs, all of the staff there. They've got a great character leadership team with the Padres, the leadership team, the PTIs, to just to get the cadets to make the standard. And I have a great deal of affection for that institution. Still do.
Well, I know when I had Brigadier Dan Fortune on, he spoke very highly of his time when he was the
brilliant man.
He was the head of Duntroon and he
Commandant.
said, the Commandant, and he said it was his, of all his postings, it is the proudest posting that he ever was, to be Commandant of Duntroon was just his career highlight.
That's a great CO, a great brigadier.
Yeah.
Ours Cozzy.
Yes.
General Cosgrove.
Wow, yeah, right. So this is the calibre of people that are going through.
He was your core number, your cadet number, mine was 7642. He was 2342, so the 42 is your core family.
Mm-hmm.
So 7642, 7542 was my core mother. And so 2342 was my great grandfather.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wow.
And he said he had a piece of advice for me, perform well and don't let me down. That was it. He called me out on parade,
and with that, are you guys polishing the brass, and is that part of it?
You had to polish your boots. You have to be smick.
Yeah, right.
Had to be. Yep. Had to be. We had
ironing. And did you iron your sheets so that?
Well, we had called BC Day every inspection day. It was Monday morning.
Yep.
And everything had to be perfect. Your weapon had to be spotless. Your room had to be spotless. The uniforms had to be all right dressed in your wardrobe. Your wardrobe had to be certain layout.
Yep.
Your weapon had to be layout on your bed. And of course, everything had to be clean. Your bathrooms had to be sharp. Everything had to be perfect. Or you get extras, or you get a show parade, or you can't be a slob. Your quilt, of course, you had to be the perfect size, a bayonet size, to turn down on the sheet over your counterpane. Your pillowcase had to be perfectly. Everything had to be perfect. And as you go through the class, first class has a little bit more leniency than third class and second class because you're 18 months of doing it. But and there's also tricks. But first class was pretty much inspect your second and third class. So everything has to be spot on. I mean, that's part of your discipline and your esprit de corps. So, fond memories and some great memories. I remember, during a fire alarm at 2:00, going up to at first class about a week before graduation, going to where's Larry? Well, I have a great mate who was Papua New Guinean. Where is he? Oh, I had to go upstairs and fireman's carry him down. It's middle of winter, Canberra, -7 degrees. So bring his doona down. Roll call, Larry. Pull his arm up. And being Papua New Guinean, you feel the cold.
Absolutely.
Some great stories and great mateships you make, and I still have those friendships.
Absolutely,
still maintain those. And a lot of those, a lot of us had either left the army, and some are still going, and some have made the heights of general, and rightly so.
And so 18 months, so it's an intense program to get you to that standard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your pass out? And finally,
Yeah.
and did you get the family down to?
Of course.
And talk me through that, because this is 18 months of blood, sweat, tears that you are now a lieutenant in the Australian Army. What was that feeling like?
Oh, again, burned in your memory, and what a wonderful day that was. It was a crisp middle of winter. I remember Bronwyn Bishop was our MP, was our reviewing officer. Tiny little lady. But it was very, very cold. It was cold. It was a cold day. But again, middle of winter. I think it was the 15th of June or something around then. It was a Tuesday. I think it was always a Tuesday pass out. And we, as a small class, 56 of us, marching the square in our blues, so our dress blues, because the summer uniform is normally it was dress whites. Mm-hmm. I think it's blues all the time now, but back then it was middle winter, and the pass out of the graduating class. And I remember the tradition, of course, down the breezeway and around the back on the main road, and throwing your hats in the air after the dismissal.
And do you guys do the reveal of the pips?
At midnight or reveal, we get pinned on by our partners or family members, and it was.
Did your dad do that for you, or?
I remember my girlfriend at the time, Laura, and my mother.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So, and do you get allocated to where you're going, or do you get a choice?
So we nominate a corps that we'd like to go to, and then depending on your performance, but we were such a small class, I think most of us or all of us got our corps selection.
Mm. And you march into the first field hospital. Talk me through getting there.
Yeah, first field hospital in Sydney. It had recently moved within the last 2 years from Ingleburn to the new establishment there in Holsworthy. I was the assistant adjutant, and had a great adjutant I worked for. And within the first couple of weeks, I was already straight away down on course at Bandiana. It was just called the LABC, Logistic Officer Basic Course, what used to be called the ROBC. Straight down to Bandiana in the middle of winter. And it was a polyesters, all wearing polyesters. Now they're wearing cams, and so where all the logistic courses and the health course all congregate. Straight after Duntroon, graduate all the new lieutenants and SSOs as well, all smashed together into this great course, blended in, like I'd say, one of every animal, all down on this. Now, any new officer that's listening to this, or anyone who aspires to be one, the courses that you do are some of the best times of your military career. Those career courses, because you not only do you network, you not just learn a lot, but you have so much fun, and you just enjoy the camaraderie, and you make friends for life on those types of courses.
And with that course, are you learning more? Like, because you'd done your nursing degree, so you'd been at the hospital. are you doing medical stuff when you get posted in here?
You learn it's like a doctrinal type of course. So you learn the principles of health support and the planning and management of health, wider health, not technical. It's not a technical course. It's like an operations sort of course.
Is this for broader army?
Like
is this of how it works in the army?
How it works.
Yeah, right.
The same thing of how logistics works. So how do you employ, at that platoon level? So this is at the cutting edge, like the troop level. Mm-hmm. How logistics works. So how does a logistic or a rail unit? What's a rail unit consist of? I have no idea. When you're healthy, you come out of Dungeon, because basically when you leave Dungeon, you're an infantry officer. You're basic infantry. How an infantry platoon works. And then infantry go and do all their ranges and then work with their weapons and heavy weapons and whatever else, and how to employ their guy at their ROBC. Mm-hmm. And they then work out how to employ infantry, right? So then how do you employ logistics? So, okay, just because you're wearing the badge doesn't make you a logistic officer.
Right.
So trucks, for example, okay, what does trucks consist of? Well, it's not just these vehicles. You've got, what are the capabilities of trucks? So at the troop level, well, it's more than just that. You've got termites, and you've got aerial delivery. Then you've got how do they interact with other units? So the platforms, and then you got weight, and then how do you lift, and then the interactions of all right. So there's all this technical stuff that. Then how do you employ it? All right, what weapon systems do they have, and how do they then shake out in the field?
Yeah, right.
And then how do you then protect them? Then how do you cam and conceal them? And then how do you then move them?
Yeah,
so
wow,
all of that is doctrinal sort of stuff. But then they go and exercise, and I think they call it wandering wheels. So they break off with them. We go into our core groups and do our own special to core components.
Ah, right. So this is where your medical...
We went to Portsea.
Ah, right.
Before it closed down. And Portsea was unreal. So we got in our cars, vehicles, or got shipped down, but most of it had a vehicle. And we went down to Portsea before it shut down. So School of Health used to be at Portsea, and Portsea was just, wow. Because that's where, the officer school used to be, where it used to be non-ADFA, where they did the 18 months.
Yep.
Used to be at Portsea.
And
then it became the School of Health, and then it got dragged into Bandiana.
Well, you talk about Portsea, mate. Portsea, it was two. You either went, in Vietnam, you went to either Portsea or Skyville.
Skyville,
so
that's right.
you had both, those two were, so that was back then, that was very, you either went to Portsea or you went to Skyville. So, mate, you followed in a tradition of, Vietnam guys, and is that, so you get to Portsea and you now break off, and this is your medical, you're actually
special core health. So, what are the subcomponents of health? So, it's just environmental health, dental, psych. Psych actually wasn't, it was just crazy. Psych wasn't part of health back then, how to employ all your subcomponents of health. Then at what role, well, at that time it was levels, level 1, level 2, level 3 health support.
Yeah,
what does that do? Then planning for that, and then how to employ them. And then we did a little health exercise, and then we did field exercises overnight.
Well, I was going to ask that. Do you go field with the battalions? Do you guys go and
not on course?
Ah, right. Yep.
No, we just did a CP exercise. Mm-hmm. And casualty management, casualty clearance sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And that's we had a CP exercise.
Yeah, right.
We did planning activities, and and that was good fun.
And then so you finished at Portsea, and then do you come back?
We came back to Bandiana.
Bandiana, yep. So and then do you end up back at Holsworthy after you've finished all your courses?
Once I finished the courses, I went straight back to Holsworthy and then deployed into the field at Wide Bay training area with exercise Vampire Bite from a first field activity straight into headquarters and doing a lot of headquarters work.
Yeah, right.
Where the hospital was shaken out, 26 S-liner carriers and a big heavy lift for a field hospital in the field.
Yeah.
Doing their thing.
And and when you're in the field, you're attached to the HQ side of things, but you're on standby for obviously heat stroke, snake bites, anything like that? Or
I was a GSO at the time, so I wasn't on the tools. So I didn't get my hands dirty.
Right.
But as still a registered nurse, it was kind of frustrating on sitting the sideline saying, and getting their hands dirty. But I did everything from doing CP work and reports and returns, and then when I was off shift, I'd go and either help in the kitchen and peel potatoes or play patient.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, and with that, as you said, you go and help in the kitchen. What does that show the other guys? That, hey, just because I'm a lieutenant doesn't mean that there's no job, it's not below me to go and help in the kitchen.
I just love doing stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's probably part of my ADHD. But, I just like get out and talking. And I think that's just part of being, roll your sleeves up and get to it.
And as you say, mate, don't be Jack.
Don't be Jack.
You help people. And, mate, we'll move.
Two friends in the army. It's a cook and a Huey, right?
That's right.
Don't worry about anyone else.
I was always told, you never piss a cook off because they can make your life hell. And the other one was
pissing your scrambled eggs.
That's right. That's right. So never. So tip to young players: don't piss the cook off, especially if you're in the Army, Navy, or Air Force, because you want to eat well. So,
right.
But I want to move forward from 97. In 1999, mate, you post into is it
3 Basby? At the time,
yeah, 3 Basby. What's this? Was in the support role. What are you doing here,
mate? 3 Basby was. Wind back a little bit, just actually, if we can.
Yeah, sure.
In 97, I did my parachute course, and then had to finish that later because if you remember in 97, the Vanamo tidal wave, which is in Papua New Guinea, happened, and they deployed parachute surgical team in there. I just missed out because I missed out my parachute. Finished the parachute course because it got called off. It was too windy.
Oh, right.
I got recalled off that anyway, and I missed the last couple of jumps because I got recalled off the parachute course to go and do a ATSIC Army Community Aid project at a place called Docker River. So ATSIC, Aboriginal Army Community Aid project with 17 construction squadron. Let me tell you, that was a great experience.
Yeah, right.
It's about 260 k's west of Yulara. Now, that was my first real kind of deployment, I guess. It's not really deployment, but it's ACAP was going, I think it was their second or maybe in their third ACAP in 97. It might have been their second. So I missed out on the cultural training, the lead up, because I was on the parachute course, and there was another guy earmarked for that. I think that was Mark, my mate Mark, and he went over to Vanamo where they set the PST up. And that was the first time I think they set up live. I think I don't remember I think historically it's the first time they set up in support of another country. Normally they set up, the parachute surgical team would set up to clear a DZ, a drop zone. That's when we went 3 RAR with a parachute battalion, and they performed, admirably over there in Vanamo when, so one of the earlier tidal waves, and that's in 97. So go have a look at Vanamo. And so I got called off the parachute course to go to there, and that was an eye opener. And it was a dry community, Docker River. Loved it, amazing place. That was a pretty impressive kind of gig. I did a lot of the men's health stuff. I was the senior healthy, as a junior nurse, right? At that time, I was doing the men's health and the women's health done with women's health. Now, there's a lot of STIs over there at the time, and we're helping the community clear that up. Now, the STI treatment was 3 doses of procaine penicillin, one after the other, 1 day at a time. And it's like an ice cream needle. It's like ice cream, the consistency of it. And it was a big bolus. It took a lot of fluid. And it hurts in the arse, like in the butt. So our fellas would come in, the fella would come in and give them the needle, and they're keen, they want to get it cleared up, as you would be.
Of course.
You're itchy or in pain, and you've had it for a while. You want to get rid of it. First one, ouch, ouchie. And next day, not there. So with my medicine man, we'd go and know where they live. Okay. Oh no, they found me. So you go and get, and great team, great team, man. Their medicine guy, and they, doc's come to find me. You to him. Third day, not there. Go on walkabout. So we go 25k drive.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Third day.
Wow.
Yeah, but anyway, it was largely successful. But the other thing was the dog program. We took a couple of vets out, and they were reserve vets, and vet capability wasn't a big capability back there, 97. Of course, now it's the capability of building, or capability army is building, or defence is, has to.
And special forces too, later on,
and I say weird.
You're still green, mate. You're still green.
Still wearing green.
Yeah, you still bleed green, mate.
Still bleed green, and a lot of dogs and a lot of dog problem. So the vets there, I think, neutered around 350 dogs in about 15 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and the way they knew a dog was neutered, pink spray paint.
Yep. Well, I mean,
there's a lot of dogs with pink spray paint. Anyway, that was a great activity. And look, 17 Construction Squadron are amazing. So from that, they did another ACAP task after that, and this is what the operational tempo for these guys. Did another ACAP, and they're away for like 6 months at a time. And then from that to another one, and then in the 99, East Timor. Then they go to East Timor. Yeah,
right. And this is where Tempo's
getting... And then the 2000, back from East Timor, they're in and out of there. And then where do they go after that? Tempo then builds up again, 2001. Then where are we going?
Afghanistan,
Iraq. So this is the big piece. We joined in the big piece and we expected we're not going anywhere, right? So you get any gig you want. 99, I'm that 3 Basby and... high tempo. I call transferred, by the way, from medical corps into nursing corps at the end of 98 into nursing corps, and didn't regret it. You know, as soon as I stepped out of the headquarters, out of assistant adjutant, assistant opso, straight into a nursing gig and straight into a platoon command up at 3 Basby. Loved it. 28 guys, medics.
I just want to go back for a minute. With your parachute, like with your para course, do you get the wings once you pass? Do you get to wear the maroon beret like the...
Unfortunately, wasn't posted in there again after I finished my course, and then they closed the unit down.
Oh, right.
And just as my beret turns up in the mail, they close the unit down. So, no.
So you never...
It was on the cards to post in there, then it got scrubbed off the orbat when 3 hour out, and unfortunately got sucked into 1 HSB.
Because I had another medic on...
What do you need a parachute surgical team when you don't have a parachute? Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I actually interviewed a lady... Sue Osborne, and
Sue,
you know Sue.
I know Sue very well.
And
great friend.
What a story, and what an awesome human being. And she was telling me about the para course that she did, and that she was like, I hated heights and I didn't want to do it, but she's like, no, I wanted to be part of this capability, and she was like, I had to do it, and we did it, and she got her wings, and she was like, it was proud. And you, the same thing, and almost every single person I've ever spoken to has said they were shitting themselves as they're standing at the back of the ramp going, I don't want to jump, and then go.
Hey, the jump's okay, it's just got to stick the landing. If you don't do right in the landing, you're screwed. Make sure you land with your feet together, all right?
Because you would have heard so many stories of guys.
Well, Brett Higginbotham was in part of that. My mate Brett, I spoke about earlier. He was part of that jump in that shouldn't have happened back in 90. I think it was 91 or 90. It was that huge jump down near. I think it might have been down near Nowra, but where they had that many casualties. And he was just going around giving everyone morph because there were that many broken. I think the CO fractured something. You've got to get him on the podcast, actually. If you're out there, Brett, reach out, mate.
Absolutely.
In fact, I'll message him later. But he was part of that. There's a lot of Look, the chutes are so much better these days. Back then it was a T10D-B, a round chute. Didn't have a lot of steering capacity. There's a reason why that, because you want to distribute people over,
an LZ.
Everyone can steer right into one spot. Not a very good distribution, right? But they're a much probably safer chute, I'd say, these days. I mean, the other ones are generally pretty safe, but and they do fall at a pretty quick rate.
We've only got to look a few years ago, mate, with Joel Fitzgibbon, who was tragically killed. Sorry, Joel? No, not Joel. Jack. Jack. Joel's his dad, and the former liberal.
Awful.
And it goes to show, mate, that, as you say, it goes to show that training accidents it's a dangerous job, mate.
Well, there's not much time in flight. You don't have
because you're only 1,000 feet, aren't you? Like
it's short.
Yeah,
it's a short period in the air.
And you've done that. Like you've
that's why it's all automatic, and that's why they do an amazing job at the school. It's just drill, and just not think. You just go. You don't have much time to think.
So we got a bit. Yeah. So you post up and into
Three Basby,
Basby, and you've got 28 guys
straight into online for what they call the online battalion, and we're straight into exercise time, and it's working with what you would call a CSST combat service support team. So we have a small element of each of the transport and supply and engineers, and we're on exercise a lot. So we're out bush, train, and of course East Timor. But before East Timor, I was earmarked to go to Bougainville. So and they're not dragging me off to Bougainville, so I'm going to Bougainville, and my platoon goes with a platoon commander. They go to East Timor, I go to Bougainville.
And what are you doing in Bougainville?
So I was part of the combined health element, which is a small surgical element at part of Lolaho, into Lolaho at the wharf, what we call the Opera House, and where there's a logistic element and that's where the helicopter base is, and the logistic support base is for all the teams are around Bougainville, and that's where the hub is. Headquarters is not far away in Arawa, which is just literally down the road. And we would have visiting surgeons come in for about anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks, or even 2 to 4 weeks. So between 2 and 6 weeks, depending on how much time they can give, and they're always reservists. And we would look after the higher tier locals, unless it's an emergency. But we would take care of course, our own people first and foremost. But then we'd also handle like some of the harder core emergencies. So we had a lot of failed deliveries. The Marys were exceedingly good at midwifery, but there was no hospital. There was no the hospital was burnt down by one of the locals. He was heavy in the JJ, jungle juice.
Mm-hmm.
And he was then had his throat cut on the floor at the stairs of the hospital. The hospital was meant to be non-touched. But this guy burnt it down or destroyed it and had his throat cut by the... And for those who don't know, Bougainville was, the conflict went for over 10 years. It was a conflict over the Panguna mine, which is the copper mine. It was a no-go zone. The Bougainville Revolutionary Army against the Papua New Guinean government. They wanted to break off. Australia had its, mining companies in there. There was a bit of bad taste in the mouth from the Australian because of our involvement with those companies. Also, we sold a bunch of stuff to the Papua New Guinea government, including helicopters, like Hueys, painted green. That's why we painted orange. That's where we're armed. And the New Zealanders went and brokered a peace deal. We're there. So anyway, go and have a look at the history. So we were in yellow. We were bright yellow shirts.
Oh,
bright
right.
hats, not unarmed. Yeah. And I was part of the health element there. Amazing experience. But a lot of trauma.
I was going to ask you that.
Lots of trauma. They carried grass knives around to cut the grass down. That's a big, longer than a machete.
Mm-hmm.
Good, I don't know, 80 centimetres up to a metre.
Wow.
Sometimes a metre.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's cut there. Grass grows, everything grows in there. A lot of cane toads over there too. Stunning country, but 10 years of conflict, taking it out on it. Beautiful, smart, intelligent people. A lot of them knew more than about 8 languages.
With you going over there, and that's your first time over to...
International deployment.
First deployment. You're going over there, you're exposed to a third world country. At
the moment, it was. Yeah.
It was a third world country. Does it make you, come back and appreciate how lucky we are here in Australia?
Oh, too right it does.
Because over there, the basic health is different. Like over here,
there was no basic health anymore. They used to have some of the best health in the world.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Some of the smartest, but and then it was just completely destroyed during the conflict. Well, they had malaria, and diseases were prevalent. So the kids had come in with malaria, and they just like death warmed up. It was just terrible. We had the traumatic injuries that they, the neighbour upon neighbour. They had their own tribal way of dealing with things, so eye for eye sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The horrific, injuries that they'd inflict on each other through these grass knives, and if they used to brew their own alcohol, something
so like 90%. So like moonshine. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Jungle juice they call it. Yeah, and it's
with that, being over there, did you see, because I've spoken to a lot of veterans, and when they go over to these countries, life doesn't mean much. And we over here in Australia, we know how precious life is. But did you see over there when you were deployed that life meant very little when you were deployed over there?
I think they did respect life. They were quite a Christian kind of country, but because they had the rascals, or the young kids that they grew up without discipline and without schooling. They didn't respect life as much as what they used to. So they were the ones going around carving each other up, or burning things down to the ground, or it was Lord of the Flies sort of lack of policing or rule of law. But you see, the older generations were saying they were just devastated by that. So I could see what they were trying to do, and trying to restore a country to some kind of rule of law order, but wanting to also make the country independent. So the atmospherics for me at the time, I was 27, I think, or 26 or 27. What is it?
99, yeah.
99. So yeah, I was 26, 27. And again, young, you'd say. To see that sort of thing was eye-opening, but also to see third world injuries and illnesses from a nursing and a medical perspective. to our country to go, wow, we've got tier, 7 bloody healthcare, where you could, do a hot angiogram, to over here where, wow, and our midwit or our peri and post and at the time, Emma, my eldest, was 5 months off being born, but I was then, as an expectant father, handling stillborn babies. I think I held it together pretty well over there, and then when I didn't know, and then that affected me, but I sucked it up, and looking after a father and washing that baby and that father and helping him, and he's just bawling his eyes out, and I'm like, it's okay, but I didn't know how much at the time that affected me, but also, some of it was pretty macabre. I've been woken up and said, boss, you're A positive. I said, yeah. I was off shift, literally off shift for like an hour. Yeah, I'm A positive. We've got a patient in. Oh, okay. Ruptured uterus. Okay, in childbirth. Lost a lot of blood. A positive, right? Blood out of me, straight into her. And that's the sort of thing that was happening, and that does, like, oh gee.
And see, this is the thing, that you're getting exposed to things that your ordinary, if you hadn't joined the army, hadn't deployed. You're not doing this in doing this in ED
in tertiary hospital here. No way.
Not a chance. Like, so you're doing things and learning things. And you mentioned stillborn babies. My brother and sister-in-law had one earlier this year.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It is like it's.
And
you
for
can't
those
get
out there that it's one of the most. And I know I've got friends and family that, and it's the hardest to lose, full term. I mean, it's hard to lose at any time in term, but a little soul.
Yeah,
but,
it was tough.
If there's any solace that I'm as a man in faith,
I'm the same. Yeah,
that I know that soul. My belief is that yeah.
I agree. And I said to my brother,
you do put a warning on these podcasts.
Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah, I said to my brother and sister-in-law that, we won't ever know the reason why, but for some reason, my little niece was taken to, the pearly gates before her time. Something was, and we'll never know the answer, but it is hard, because you've seen it. You're about to become a father. You're seeing these, and I know for my brother, and myself as an uncle, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, mate, is carry my little niece's coffin. It was. I don't wish that on anybody. No. It was hell. It was hell, and it really was hard. Like, I never even got to hold my little niece, but carrying her was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And you're like this, although you're not directly, it's not like you don't know these people. It's affecting you too. There's trauma building, and it comes out later in your career, and we'll get to that later on. But so, how long were you deployed for in Solomon?
In Bougainville it was a 4.
Oh, sorry.
Right. It was a 4-month deployment. So I was back.
Did you get to the birth of your daughter?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I was back in January of 2000, and so that posting was cut short. I got a posting order actually when I was over there. I think, well, I'm only a year in Townsville, so. In fact, Amanda, my wife at the time, and she said, well, we're being posted to Brisbane. I said, I didn't even ask for that. So anyways, we're packing up the house. As soon as I'm back home, we're packing up a house. I hadn't really had any time to decompress. No real time for holiday. We just packed up a house and straight down to Brisbane. And I'm still trying to make sense of, Bougainville. And we're talking about, we've got to go. And as soon as we get to Brisbane, was straight back into work. Unload, find a house, unload, straight to work. So, again, I don't think we were quite ready for, for deployments and post-deployments and whatever else, and right in the middle of a posting cycle, I really don't think we've gotten that right either. And I can talk about that later, but we've got a lot to learn, I think, and I can talk about that later with my experience in SOCOM, but and I just didn't talk about any of it. I just wanted to get home, and I just wanted to
compartmentalize.
I did. I just packaged it all away, and it didn't leak out until I was in the States in 2004.
Yeah. Okay.
No, 2008. It didn't leak out. It just leaked out of me. And it just like completely lost it, and I bawled my eyes out to a stranger. And it was 8 years later or 9 years later, and I didn't even know why. It was just something just happened. But I guess I just got busy, and for me, and a lot of us do it. We just get busy, and we do compartmentalise it. I mean, I did the post operational stuff, and it was I had a good tour, and
I'm good to go.
I did what I meant to do.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
But, I guess from seeing trauma and doing trauma and done it from when I was a young age, it was. But what the difference is now, I've got lived experience now with a baby on the way, and I want to go again. And when's my next gig?
And being male,
toughen up, sometimes.
And we're going to talk about your mental health later on, but it's a great thing that you highlight is that back then, and we're getting better now with mental health and understanding that putting and my story of where I was and getting to the edge of that cliff and putting my hand up, mate, was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But if I hadn't have put my hand up, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't be here. I honestly would be a statistic on the walls. And we're getting better now, but there's still that stigma. And back then, mate, if you had to put your hand up back in 99, 2000, oh mate, could you imagine? You would have been, what's wrong with you, mate? Get a bag of concrete and harden up. Come on, sweetheart. What? And that's the stigma, and it's a wrong stigma. But we're getting better, but we've still got a long way to go.
I think. See, I'm really blessed to actually get on pretty well with my first ex, with Amanda. I get on well with her. She would say, "Yeah, look, I know, I can tell you now that we're not in the right headspace, and you did change quite significantly since that deployment to Bougainville. You really did change quite. You did kind of go away into your shell, or and I think that's a normal thing to do. A human thing is to, when you see stuff like that or when you experience things like that, it's quite normal, to compartmentalise it, but there's got to be a time when you can release it, and there's an important time to decompress.
Absolutely.
And to be able to talk, but and there is a time and a place, she'll be the first to tell anyone that you did change.
You came back a different person.
A different person. Yeah.
And of course, mate. And so you get the next posting, which you found a bit strange, and you posted into 2 Health Support Battalion. Well, talk me through this one.
I enjoyed my time in Brisbane. Brisbane was a good time. Technically, I was able to run an outpatient department and again, have some great senior medics work alongside. I work with amazing guys. I say senior as corporal up. They were. You don't go into an outpatient department unless you've got some decent runs on the board. And And right alongside that was the emergency, or I guess the emergency, but the RAP. And again, you've got a mix of different medics in there, but you're working for specialists, you're getting their clinics together, and that's a unit that was also preparing to go to East Timor, so as a whole. And, and that would leave us running the hospital and at the time, 2 HSB or 2 field hospital, then change the name. Every unit I seem to be at is changing name. I don't know why. 2 field hospital, 2 HSB. 1 field hospital, 1 HSB, then 2 field hospital, 2 HSB, 3 BASB to 3 CISB. It's Department of Name changes.
Well, I mean, second commando regiment. 4RR commando. Second commando regiment.
Hockey for 4RR.
Yeah.
At the time, then they become commando. Or the unit closes down. Surgical team gone. Before I can get a chance. Blame me. Anyway, great unit, and they did extremely well overseas, but I didn't get a chance to go over there. But great too. I see Dan Belansky, or Fancy Belansky. I think he's the adjutant at the time. In fact, Dan was one of my mentors when I was at Dundrum. He was a captain down there and part of the leadership team. And Dan is probably listening and go, Damo, you're bullshitting too much. But yeah, Dan, again, still to this day, a great mate of mine, not just a great mate, a great friend, but also I would consider to be like a brother. And mentored right through my career. And also worked for him quite a bit and alongside him. The adjutant there, but at the time was still clinical and operational. So they still had the green and the clinical role at the time before the HSB model came in. That was a great experience. We were still in whites. I was wearing my white shorts and white shirt and white high socks, and it's Brisbane, we're in Brisbane. More navy than
I was going to say
that. My daughter, first child, was born. Great times. Beautiful. Eva came along, and joyous occasion. Olympics year.
Yep. Sydney Olympics.
I had my left ankle reconstructed at the time. It was a hangover injury from when I was at Dundrum, when I rolled it in a rabbit hole. Hang on it for that long. And I was able to put my foot up for a couple of weeks while watching the Olympics. And so, it was a good year. And again, East Timor, deployments, people come back with gongs and experience of able to do some great stuff on operations. And it was, again, before the world changed. Yeah,
well, we're going to talk about that right now. So, September 11, 2001, mate. Everyone knows where they were. I do. I know where I was. Mate, where were you on that day? And did you foresee that day that you would be in Afghanistan in, 12 years later?
No.
So, talk me through that day.
I thought I'd be there sometime. I didn't know it'd be that then and there with an amazing organisation. But
So talk me through that day. What do you remember of September 11?
I was that year long-term schooling in Wodonga.
So what's long-term schooling?
So I was I did a postgraduate degree in it was vocational education and training. So it's like part of my masters of education before I posted to the school back to the School of Health.
Oh right.
And it's a university for a year, paid by Defence. Thanks taxpayer. So it's part of professional development.
Okay.
And so I went to La Trobe University in Wodonga, and instead of doing it in Brisbane or somewhere else, I thought, well, why not settle down in Wodonga? And because I know I'm going to be posted the following year to the school, some stability. So stability for the family. And we bought a house in Wodonga, $131,000.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow, I can.
In Wodonga.
I can. Now it'd be worth
It'd be probably worth
triple that.
Yeah, it's probably worth about 400, maybe 500.
Yep.
maybe more. Real estate. Anyway, that's back in 2000.
Yeah, wow.
And one. So it was, September, and I think Amanda was in bed. Eva was definitely in bed as a baby, and very young. Oh, she was over a year old then at that point, and I was having a cup of tea and watching it just newsflash unfold. I went, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I didn't want to wake the others. I just watched it and watched it and watched it. And then in the early morning, I just woke up, man, and went, you gotta watch this. We're going to war. And it was just shocking because I went to uni that day. So I've got to go to uni. I'm tired, and that's all we talked about. We just didn't even do any subject matter. We just talked about it because everyone's in shock.
Did these guys know you were in the army?
Oh yeah. There was a couple of us on the course.
Yeah, right.
One of them was a sergeant in that subject.
Yeah, okay.
And the two of us were the most right wing, and everyone else was lefties.
Yeah.
That's not right wing, but we were right of centre. And the others were those complete socialist weirdos. And but at that point we were like, we're all Australian flag here. We're all like, this is bullshit. No one has the right to fly a plane into a building. No, this is an outright war, and something's got to be done about it. And we're just waiting on the response. And I remember watching our Prime Minister at the time, John Howard's response. I remember the response by the President. And my phone was ringing hot with all my mates and said, well, when's it going to happen? It's just changing the world.
It did, mate.
And it changed the world. Security amped up everywhere, and nothing's been the same since.
No, and it. Like I was 8 at the time, and nearly 3,000 people died that day, and it's just, and I think, and I reflect on it now. The innocence of the world died that day. And I don't mean to use that word. It's a terrible word to use, but it is. The innocence of, because we all thought, back then it was all like we're a bit blasé before that attack, and we didn't think anything could but now, mate, I really think that that day just we've never been the same since. And you look at we've been in Iraq, Afghanistan. That day shaped the rest of your military career, and it shaped the rest of a lot of veterans that I've had on the podcast since. And we've never ever been the same from that day. And it was just, I remember as an 8-year-old, it was just surreal. It was like, what's happened? Like, okay, cool. And then it was on every channel. And being an 8-year-old kid and your parents saying, no, this is what happened, like this has happened, and you don't understand, you can't comprehend it.
Mate, I think what East Timor, taught us is that we were pretty horribly prepared for any kind of modern day conflict. And we learned that before September 11, and that includes health capability, deployability. Mate, we're lugging. I remember in preparing for East Timor in the ramp up, even just for an evacuation of our Australians from East Timor, we were lugging heavy plastic containers across a 400 metre. We're simulating the haul from one point to another. Our small medical team was hauling heavy plastic containers full of our medical kit from one point to another across, in the heat in Townsville, across a parade ground, a grass parade ground. Ridiculous, the way we were, carrying equipment with a flak jacket and with webbing, with outdated equipment and a Kevlar helmet. Horribly unprepared, ill-equipped, and East Timor would have taught us that we are unprepared, ill-prepared. Like, we're using Vietnam-era equipment, drink bottles and cups, canteens, and whatever else. While every other country's been prepared. So, if anything, East Timor taught us, and we are ill-prepared, and we needed to do something fast. So, I think lessons learned. And then this happens, it made us realise that we need to amp up our military capability. So, if anything that it did teach us is that, let's get real about this. And of course, the next 10 years is, okay, well, enemy capability, we're being beaten by, some, four-fingered bomb maker that can seriously screw up our day. So we need to change our vehicle capability. And we were driving around in bloody Land Rovers.
How we didn't lose more guys in that that amazes me.
Well, because they haven't wised up to us yet until we disappeared out of Afghanistan and came back. We were lucky. We were really lucky. This is the thing. Well, we had to learn our lessons and learn them fast. Held capability. Still around in 11x11s and 14x14s. Look at what was back then and what is now. So,
well, I think too, and we'll talk about Afghanistan later on. But I remember speaking to Sharon, and she said that the medical advances that came from the battlefields, and the having the combat medics in with the guys, and Damien Tomlinson, a lot of the guys that were in his saved his life,
mate, the combat application tourniquet, for example.
Exactly.
It was evil to talk about a cat, right? We can't tourniquet someone. Are you kidding me? Well, it saved lives.
Exactly.
Okay, simple as a tourniquet, applied correctly. TCCC all was born out of that. Okay, so this is something that we taught fast, hard and fast. TCCC hammered fast, and now it's part of our basic. It's part of core soldier training. TCCC straight in there.
Afghan bandage, pack wounds, all the things.
We were carrying a shell bandage around us for how long? I mean, still shell bandages are okay, but now everyone carries 2 cats, at least 2 cats, 3 cats, whatever. That was put the soldier can provide life saving treatment at that cutting edge, right? At least prolong life by let's say 10-20 minutes. That's all you need. 10 minutes until someone more qualified can get there. Good. Right.
Well, give him
Even
a
if
chance.
It's like you just drag them out of the into a safe place while you're still returning fire. Good. Get the cat on yourself. Put it on yourself. This is what we didn't do.
Well,
how good is a little bandage with a pad on it going to do, right? Even stuff like stuff that's going to quick clot, something like that is going to be something quick to do.
Well, Curtis McGrath talks about when he lost his legs in the year that you were over there in 2012. He was the combat medic, and he told his guys right, you need to put tourniquets on here, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's like he's alive because he told his guys what to do. Like,
it only takes one.
That's
person.
Right, and that's and as Sharon said, the golden hour, as you know, is the golden hour. It was that if you couldn't get them back to the base within that golden hour, the chances were slim. But these are all the things that you learn, and as you said, all stem from September 11. That health needs to adapt, the whole army needs to adapt and things are changing rapidly.
But it's not just teaching them the basics in life saving. What is also life saving is the return of fire. If your enemy is firing at you, you got to fire back and protect yourself. You've got to be able to return. You've got to be able to put fire down range. Mm-hmm. If you're being fired at, you've got to return fire. It's no good just to stop what you're doing while you got rounds. This is what the principles are. TCCC. Mm-hmm. Okay, you've got to be able to get to a place of cover. Get you and your patient to a place of cover.
Yep.
And fire back. So you can provide cover to someone else, or someone else providing that covering fire. So you can get to a place of where you can provide that, get that cut on. Whereas in the olden days, I say the olden days, I'm saying I'm old now. All right? We'll go, all right, stop what you're doing and just stand out in the open and provide first aid to someone. All right, there's 2 casualties.
Yeah.
Or you're dead.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've just changed their mindset. And this is the way we're teaching at the school, that they're teaching at school. And it's now, you've got to be able to control the situation or be in control of what's happening. And drill it into, you're in the battlefield. You're not in some, Mickey Mouse. You're not in a computer game now.
Yeah, you're playing for keeps. This is real, and you're not out on exercise where you're in a two-way. You're in a. It's two-way. And I want to talk about this because you go in 2002, so you finish your long-term school, and then you post into the school, and you post into Army School of Admin and Health.
Yep. Is
this now for you a rewarding posting because you're giving back to the next generation coming through?
Look, we got some amazing young guys, and these are the medics that Quirky and this was the first part of this is what they call BMAC and then AMAC, and the different coloured. So the first breaking out of the short medic course, and then now it's these new models. Mm-hmm. So the medics course now 9 months long, and then there's an advanced medical assistant course where they're getting more than just the basic stuff. They're getting more into the technical nursing kind of skills, but also more so amping up their skills so they're more rounded as an all skilled kind of course, and they're getting TAFE. Or they're getting a qualification out of it too, or towards a qualification. And you're getting some of these amazing medics come through, and now formative, you're getting Macaulay Quirk on these courses, and you're getting, I got mate mine, Heath Schofield that came through, but you're getting all these guys come through now. This is the basic coming through that time, 2002, where they're getting their basics, and then they come back and do their advanced courses. When you're seeing them getting their foundation skills. Then we're getting simulation. The first Sim Man rolls out, where they're able to, do more advanced skill work on computers. Where, that's incredible. We're taking advantage of technology. Really starting to bring that in. Starting to simulate environments. That's around that time, and then it just goes haywire from there. So that was really rewarding.
Well, you mentioned Coco, and 2 years later, after he comes through the school with you, he's involved in an incident where he saves a guy's life, where a tree limb fell on him and on his head, and Coco saved his life and was awarded the Nursing Service Cross for that work. You'd seen him, and then what happened to him in Afghanistan, where he was blown up and died, and then came back. It's just an amazing. Go back and listen to Coco's story. It is. He's an unbelievable human.
it was just amazing being part of that and being at school and seeing these quality guys. Who just, you know, I can't speak highly enough of these guys who just chose that pathway.
Well, you've
at the time it was just Army, purely Army, and then Air Force gets introduced, and we've got a full Air Force course in there. And
well, look at the people you've met, mate, through Sharon, Sue, Coco, all these the guys you've just mentioned through. They're all amazing humans, and what it all comes back to, and what you spoke about at the start of the podcast, was service and what are we, and you know, you and I being faithful, and I know some people might switch off after this, but that's okay, mate. I'm faithful, you're faithful. We're here doing God's work, and at the end of the day, we're servants. We're servants and of giving service to others. That's what we're here to do. That's what you were doing. That's what we do now, and we continue it on. They're all great people that have chosen a profession that is a very honourable profession to serve. Like, mate, my mum was a nurse for 44 years, you know, and my nana was a nurse, you know. So nursing is a rewarding, but it also is it takes a toll as well.
Yeah. No, it was a great honour. I think. Do you want to break and then?
Yeah, we might actually.
There's a lot of heavy stuff in the next.
Yeah. We might just take a quick. Breather, and we might just have a quick 10-minute break, and we'll come back.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, mate, welcome back after that short little break. We just had to have a quick smoke break and a coffee break. So,
mate, got to. That's a good vices, mate. A bit of caffeine and
that's right, mate. That's right. So, 2002, we are at the where are we? Hang on,
at the School of Health.
At the School of Health. So, talk me through the next part of your career. What's happening in the next part?
Well, I stayed in Albury-Wodonga. And it's a great location, by the way, and guided. And I've got to say, and what we were talking about during the break, is that I've had, up to this point in my career, some amazing seniors and woes look after me, mate, and form some very close bonds and relationships and friendships with one of them, Nev Kading. He was a lot misunderstood because he's about hyperactive as me. But he was a superb medic, but a great instructor as well. And I worked very closely with him to really develop that simulation part of the house for the School of Health. So we really did a lot of the programming for that simulation concept, but also the capability. And we, worked on a lot of the training aids in that simulation, particularly for SimMan, and worked closely on that. We also did a lot of skiing and snowboarding together, as Wodonga offers.
Very close to the snowfields.
At that time, I busted both of my wrists snowboarding.
You're paying for it now, aren't you, mate?
Paying for it now, but did a lot of horse riding at the time too. Got to spend time on horseback and enjoyed the region as it was. But Eva was growing up. In 2003-04, I posted to what was called ILDIV, so Integrated Logistic Division, changed its name to Army School of Logistic Operations. Again, another name change.
Yep.
They looked after, where LABC, LOIC, LOAC, and the career development courses for juniors and seniors happen. So for the logistics staff, so and medical staff as well. So soldier courses for promotion. So subject courses, subject 4, some subject 2 courses, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time there too. Great place to be. In 2004, I played rugby for the Board Army Rugby Club. Won a premiership with the Board Army Rugby Club with the Bark.
Yeah, right.
We beat in the grand final, we beat not Deniliquin, we beat the Griffith Blacks, and they were almost unbeatable. But we beat them. I remember setting up a try on the first try. We set up on the wing. I faced off who I would call John Olomu, the biggest winger I've ever met. That was a real great highlight in my rugby career, rugby union career. Loved that time. Daniel McSpadden, I think at the time, was our halfback, and Daniel Jolliffe was our coach and player as well. It was such a great time. Great time in living down in Albury-Wodonga. But in 2004, my son William was born. He's 21 now, but he was born with spina bifida, and we didn't know because in all of his ultrasounds it just couldn't be detected. So he was flown down on his birthday to Melbourne and operated on that day. A fairly low lesion and affecting his sacral 1 and 2 nerves, and he was in Melbourne for a good 3 months at the Kids Hospital, Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. My mate Joe Power lived in Melbourne at the time. Him and his wife and family just really looked after Amanda and I at the time. So my father and mother were living in Wodonga at the time too, and we had amazing support. Army gave us some support. I had as much leave as I needed.
I was going to ask you that.
Incredible support. Yeah.
And for people who aren't aware, mate, what is spina bifida?
So spina bifida is a neural tube defect. So in very early in development, the neural tube, which is basically from your brain down your spinal cord, is the sleeve that encases your spinal cord. And if there's any kind of defect or I guess like a lesion or like a bubble, I guess, in it, it's where your spinal cord can protrude through that, and it can either be occult that comes through your skin and onto the outside.
Oh, right.
So it looks like a big blister, I guess, and it could be on the inside and hard to detect. But Williams looked like a big blister at the time, and William was born cesarean, and I saw straight away as he'd born. I said, "Oh, that straight away, that's spina bifida," and Amanda couldn't see because he's got the screen up, and I looked at the surgeon, her doctor, and we looked at each other as he's degowning and said, "It's spina bifida." And he said, "Yeah, we need to get him to Melbourne straight away for the best chances." Often, if it's damaged, they could have, they might be paraplegic, or they, problems with a whole lot of different problems. But he was operated on, and his prognosis was quite good, but it did affect him in a lot of ways, his special needs. And anyway, I decided to transfer to reserves and to be with the family. We were living at Beechworth at the time. We bought a house in Beechworth, and I spent the next couple of years working as a real estate agent in Wangaratta while I did reserve work as well.
Yeah, right.
And then after real estate, I worked for a company called Noetic Solutions, which as a contractor or a contract manager, writing doctrine.
Yeah, wow.
Military doctrine.
Okay.
And managing doctrine contracts. And then at the time, when the time was right, I transferred back into full time back in 2008, and went straight back into at the time ASLO, or Army School of Logistic Operations. So reserve work, I did a lot of time, at the school doing tactical exercises about troops and some field time, and still kept my hand in it whilst also writing doctrine.
And what made you want to come back full time? Like you'd had obviously you bled green, step away for family reasons, but what was the driving factor for you to come back?
There was a couple. The main thing I think was William was stabilised and he was in a good routine, and we had great care, and we were able to manage. And also, if you remember 2007, Kevin 07.
Yes.
Do you remember Rudd's Razor Gang? I think a lot of doctrine contracts dried up, and so did a lot of government contracts at the time. And we had a great doctrine team, by the way, a great little team of ex-military and also reservist military, but mostly ex-military working. Because doctrine dried out on the Vine, a lot of it was old and needed a big revamp, and it was very difficult for military to write their own doctrine because it flat out, especially with the war on terror, deployments, and we're also advancing, and doctrine was, adapting and also developing at a fast pace, especially weapon systems and the tactics and techniques and procedures. So doctrine wing was busy, really busy. So when Rudd's government got elected, and I make absolutely no qualms in saying this, he just took to cutting the hell out of everything. And our little section went from, well over $1 million in not profit, but, revenue for writing valid and good doctrine to not getting any contract. So I went, well, I'm going to rejoin. And luckily enough, my career advisor at the time was Ian Marsh, and Swampy. No, Ian Marsh, great guy, by the way. I still have a great deal of respect for him. And he's the father of, pretty much the developer of the new health system with the HSBs, and developing that HSB system, and taking pretty much health support into the 21st century at the time, away from the old one field hospital sort of system. He was my career advisor at the time and said, "Yeah, come on back, Damo.
Come on back,
come
mate.
on back, and welcome back to the fold." And Ian Anfruns, I think it was the 2IC or the OPSO at the time of Aslo, and the Fruns, loved the Fruns, and I was welcomed back. Yeah, Danny McQuaig as well. He was the 2IC at the time. He said, "Welcome back, come on back," and I was welcomed back with open arms. And
so that's 2008?
2008.
And then 2009, mate, you deploy second deployment to the Solomon Islands. What's happening here?
So posted to in 2009, 10. I think I was actually 10, yeah. Up to... posted back up to 1 HSB as the adjutant. And before that, 2008, actually, I went to the States for a 4-month course.
Yeah, right.
Over to the what is equivalent to their School of Health at Fort Sam Houston in Texas. Worked with the States.
Was that good?
Excellent.
Because are they doing? Are they bringing back stories from Afghanistan? Yeah. So you're seeing what's going on over there.
Iraq, Afghanistan. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Right. So and you bring that bring that knowledge,
bring their
back.
stories and their knowledge all back to
right. Okay.
And help integrate, and they're in the new and their doctrine is like our doctrine. Their roles are health support, and we were moving into that role instead of level of health support. And our doctrine is the same, and be able to integrate with their health system. So that was helpful. Again, great network of mates, still mates to this day. With a lot of them. Their instructor, my instructor at the time, loved being still great mates with him and his family. And then posted in 2010 to 1 HSB, and then get an opportunity to deploy to Solomon Islands with a force integration extraction group, and lead that force integration extraction.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And are you attached with them? Are you very different to Bougainville? You're not doing hearts and minds here. This is you're attached to the guys that if they get injured, is that how I'm reading this deployment?
No health at all. It was
right.
really leading a group of. I say we do have help. We had psych capability, which we were responsible for doing all the RTAPs, Return to Australia psychological screens.
Yeah, okay.
Doing all their logistic, cleaning and preparing and moving and ammunition, packaging and counting and cleaning, and so it's an extraction group, and to a timeline, just preparing that force to return to Australia, and I was in charge of that. And, and debriefing the commander. That was really a really rewarding and eye-opening experience. So yeah.
And how long were you deployed over there for?
It was only a matter of weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not long enough to get a gong, unfortunately. But still, was able to get around and talk to the crew and talk to the police as well, and talk to the other agencies that were part of it.
Because what is it? It's
like police led at the
30
time.
days or something. Get a gong. Yeah.
Oh, not that bothered me. I really don't care.
No, that's right. You don't do it for the gongs.
No, I'm not doing it for the gongs. Yeah.
No, yeah.
But for the experience, it was quite a feather in the cap at the time as the adjutant for the CO to say, yeah, go ahead, Damo, and take the time to go and get that experience to lead an extraction group.
Absolutely.
That was a great privilege.
Mate, it's something that, when you first started your career, you wouldn't have thought you would do.
Again, it's part of that kaleidoscope of experience that you can get.
Absolutely. Yeah. And 2008 happens, and then in 2009 you deploy to the Solomon Islands. What was your role over there, and how long were you deployed for?
Not quite, mate. 2009, still down at Army School of Logistic Operations, and having a great time there. It was fantastic posting, and networked really well. And at the end of that year, it was I finished off that year at the school doing a school course, which was the LOAC, Logistic Officer Advanced course. Now that was just a brilliant course, good fun. It learned about that strategic logistics, but again, it's a great time to network with some of the guys you've been right through your career with. Caught up with an old mate, Neil Warnock, who happened to be living in Sydney, well, actually just south of Sydney, near Stanwell Park, Helensburgh, Stanwell Park. And I would say at the time he was the best karaoke singer in the Army, and maybe Defence Force. But he brought his whole karaoke rig, down on that course.
Right.
And we had the two best parties, I think the school had seen, or certainly the mess down there had seen. And then at the time, some of your listeners might remember, or his name's Dan Schnark. He was an American exchange officer, and he was a lieutenant colonel, and he was actually the chief instructor of that course. And he appointed me as the sheriff. I think that was pretty wise, actually. I shook all the officers out at. We'd have a 9 o'clock club because we were a bit older. We'd had a 5 or 6 o'clock club. I shook coins out of everyone. I think we made about about $4,000, but donated quite a bit to charity. We had two of the best parties, in the mess with the karaoke rig. And that time of year, everyone's ready to, either be posted, promoted, or, wind down for the year. So that was brilliant. But posted up to Sydney in 2010 as the adjutant of 1HSB under Lockie Sinclair. Got a great little place at Stanwell Park, actually, and a couple of, about a few minutes from the beach walk. And that came in handy, and I'll tell you about that later on. But just got into the community up in Sydney, joined the surf club again. Started going back to church with Neil, and then nearly every other waking moment we'd go and hit karaoke at the Pagewood Rex Hotel, and I'll cover that soon too. But an opportunity came up in 2011, actually. Lockie Sinclair was 2010, then 2011 Ian Marsh got posted in. And he opportunity came up as the leader for a FIEG, or it's a Force Insertion Extraction Group, into the Solomon Islands, and at the time 17 brigades responsibility to run those insertion extraction groups. So we had I was in charge of a site team and a log team, which consisted of transport, ammo tech, DG packers, all that sort of thing. Those type of capabilities, and that was a great experience to be able to get your hands dirty in there, and helped out the ammo tech, happened to be an ammo officer, but make sure that force is extracted well enough, but also preparing the new force to come in. Great experience. Got to see a little bit of the country. Not long enough for any kind of sustained missions or whatever else, but still a great opportunity to deploy. Seeing my last wheels up was back in Bougainville when I was lieutenant. So that was a great opportunity. That was around Easter time. And not long after that, I started playing rugby with Engadine Lions. And one night before I was due to play down, I can't remember where it was, just down the south coast, when I was a designated driver, went into my usual Friday night karaoke, sung a few songs, and with Neil. And that's where I met my now ex-wife, but Carly. And she was a great karaoke singer as well. And we hit it off and started dating. But actually on the third date, playing rugby in 2010, she came to, I think it was in May. I think I remember the date well. It was the 7th of May. And we had a ladies' day home game at Engadine Lions. And we had police, fire, ambulance and military in the team. I didn't get a lot of field time for the third, so I went and rolled on, strapped on the boots for seconds and rolled out with the seconds as well, and horribly fractured my ankle on the sideline. And I'm talking horrifically fractured the ankle. The fullback just cleaned me up, my boots stuck in the ground, and I had a fractured dislocation, eversion injury on my right ankle. Stopped the match. Carly was right on the sideline, came to watch me. It was kind of the third date, and it sounded like a piece of 42 breaking in half, and horrific. And at the time I looked at it, and I'm screaming, bloody agony. Well, that's it. Career's done.
Yeah.
Not much coming back from that. Shipped off to the hospital. The ambos couldn't get enough, or the paramedic that turned up to the ground couldn't get enough painkiller on board, so the only thing that did it was a bit of midazolam, put me to sleep, got me on the ambo, and went and sat in wait at St George Hospital for a good, 3 days. Well, the swelling went up while they're trying to find a surgeon willing to do the job. They couldn't find one. And this is where it comes in handy. Pick up the phone to Marshy and, don't worry, Damo, all sorted out. So you got the DMO, or the head doctor out there, and said, who do you know that would pick up the surgery? And Andy Higgs, who works out at Colonel, I think probably a brigadier by now, but he looked after the helicopter crash for some of our lads from FE Bravo. We had a few fatalities from FE Bravo in SOCOM about 2 years earlier, and repaired quite a few of those guys. And they sent around a 6x6 ambulance, military ambulance, to St George Hospital with a couple of medics. Put me in. Drove me out to back down to St Vincent's Private Hospital, a private room, and within the week, Andy Higgs was apparently pulling his hair out, putting all the pieces back together in my right ankle.
Far out.
Finished with quite a bit of metal in there, but pretty happy with that. About 4 surgeries later, during that year, and a bit of intensive recovery, I was not only walking but running again, playing a bit of touch football with Marshy and the crew out at lunchtime. I couldn't believe it, to get from that point where I thought I'd never walk properly again. Yeah. And it was, I'm telling you, it was pretty bloody horrific fracture. But to be able to do that, to get to that point, was, I'm a pretty determined kind of guy, but also the team that I had around me and the military team, the physios, the GPs, the pain management, and the facilities we had. And that's when 1HSB was out at Holsworthy, had a hydrotherapy pool, full gym, you name it, and excellent leadership. Marshy and the crew And the guys willing to pick up the slack while I was away, because adjutant is really not a job that is expected to do long hours and support your CO and the command team. I was really blessed to have that team around me at the right time and right place. And Marshy being a footy fan, a rugby fan, that was pretty bloody outstanding. And I'm quite thankful for those guys, that they brought back.
What
me out.
What it shows to me too is your mindset, because mate, most people would go, that's it, career's done. But you still wanted to serve, and you still had more to give.
Yeah.
And you got back.
Well, that's it. We're right in the smack bang in the middle of, the 20-year war. I felt that, I was a little undercooked because I had that break in my career, which was good, to bring the kids and get sort Williams Healthcare out and to be able to be stable in one location for a while. And that is, that does affect, your career progression. No, I didn't go to Command and Staff College. I, just turned it down on that many occasions, and as in the not being selected, but the selection process, I just said, no, I'm not putting my hand up to be selected for the selection process. Just for family and for, my own, I just wanted to take as much as I could out of where I was in my career. And frankly, I quite enjoyed being around the soldiers. And once you get up to that, senior major, once you past staff college into lieutenant colonel, you really start moving up.
It's more political then, isn't it?
Well, I would say not so political, but more of that management area, area into staff work and senior command is a selection process as well, or command of a unit is a selection process. But I was keen to get a subunit command. But Marshy, at the time, they were going through the restructure of health support, and they established, the new health units around the country. There was an opportunity for me to post to Darwin, but I turned that down as well. So I ended up getting a posting to Canberra with SOHQ under as the J073, which is ops but also planned, so you can probably put a slash in that in 5. Working with and for Ali Burley Snot, who was then the J07. Good little team there, Laura Sinclair and a few great team mates, and Dave Leake is the senior health woe, and just being able to gauge with those guys. It's quite have things happening in 2012. That's when we posted in there, and Carly came with. It was her first time out of home city, out of Sydney and down to Canberra, and a bit closer to the kids who are still down in Albury-Wodonga, and we just started carving out a little niche in Canberra for the next 3 years. Still getting some post-surgery and recovery and rehabilitation with the foot, but ended up getting a couple of screws removed from my ankle, and then fully recovered from that and got upgraded. And as soon as that happened in May, I got a phone call while I was in Sydney during a working group from Ali, and she said, "Got a deployment, you want to go on it?" And at that time I already proposed to Carly to marry, and the date was set down early December. She said, "Well, you're going to have to cover that off with Carly, because your return date is not until after the wedding date." And I went, "Oh, righto." So picked up the phone from Sydney, called Carly in Sydney in Canberra, and she said, "You got to go. You just got to go." So the job was with SOTG. Rotation 17 was in place, and the job was at that time it was called Task Force 666, but it's really the Afghan Force Development Unit. So they're the team that trains up the partner force, and at that time it was the Provincial Response Company, Erzgan, and my job was the logistic partner for the logistic officer, and he was kind of the 3IC of the PRCU. Smart guy, side of him. So May flicked around. I deployed in June, and it was just hit the ground running. Rotation 17 were coming up to their end of their rotation. They were about 4 to 6 weeks off. I handed over with my outgoing and picked up the reins. The job was not just partnering with him and mentoring him, side of him, the PRCU guy, but officer, but also managing all the interpreters, and through Worldwide, which is the contractor that picked up all the interpreters. A lot of them were Afghan expats who were living in the States that came over for to do interpreting for us, and also looking after the many life support contracts of the stuff that we had around base, including there's a complex over there called the Koala, which is a mud hut complex that we built within the base that our operators would go in and do mission profiles for close quarter, like breaching, tight work amongst in this kind of complex. I mean, we made it look as realistic as possible and brought goats in to liven it up, just make it look real. And my job was to look after that. I mean, they'd breach walls where they probably shouldn't breach walls, and the roof was going to cave in, so I had to bring contractors in to repair that with often American dollars, but cash money, or the dirtiest looking money you could find was Afghan dollars. And of course, how many bloody Afghan dollars to one American dollar is like a suitcase load. So you're talking about a truckload of cash coming in. But, so ripped in there in June, and that was a 6-month deployment, mate. So that was in 2012.
And was that the same trip? Were you on the same trip as Bawley?
Yeah, Bawley was in there when I got in there. The first thing he wanted was a new coffee machine. So we made that happen. Mate, he was great, took me under his, handover wing. We had Junior, who was in charge of AFTU at the time, and, they're getting ready to rip out. But Bawley, and you've had him on the potty before, and Bawley's one of my best mates, mate. So he was, if there's an example of a partner who you want to look to, most calm, open, easy bloke to negotiate with the Afghans or be part of the Afghans, it's Bawley. You'd open up a book and there he is. He should write the book on how to partner at the coalface. And he did smooth over the waters in a lot of ways. I mean, we're talking, what's the stress level like? Well, you always carry your pistol on your hip, you have to, but mate, you don't know what these partner forces are capable of, or not capable of, or what is being influenced with the influence upon them outside the wire. Never trust them. You never trust them, even though you build a trust. Never in the back of your mind, what's being said to them or done to them outside. And have the Taliban a letter in the night, I'm going to kill your family if you don't do something. You don't go in there and start brassing up people. We're going to just start doing shit to you. So you always had that in the back of your mind. Every time you go outside the wire, what's going on? I mean, some shit happened on my rotation. So rotation 17, we lost Dids late for FE Alpha. He went out within a week of his
6 days.
6 days of returning home.
I just had a combat medic on who actually treated him. So go back and listen to TJ's podcast. TJ, she was there through that whole 6 months, and it was shit that you guys did. Then you had the green on blue you were on the ground with that, and
mate. The green on blue, we lost. There's 5 within a day.
Yes.
Nate and Merv in our rotation in the helicopter. The chopper went down that, which is bloody awful. I mean, it's,
and the three boys playing
boys
cards
have been brassed up by Hekmatullah.
Yeah, fucking piece of shit. Sorry, my words. My words. Yep.
My job was interesting, mate. Over there, it wasn't benign. I think I probably ended up with the most frequent flyers of any of the fixed wing aircraft. We're flying everywhere, all around town, to every bloody city, Kandahar, Kabul, out near Herat, to talk to all the levels of command. The levels of logistics that was meant to support the PRCU. I mean, if you think of a funnel at the top, when all the shit's meant to be coming down to you and the PRCU, managed by the General Directorate Police Special Units, which is the headquarters in Kabul. And at every level, you get someone corrupt skimming from it, being pay, life support stuff, fuel. We're talking, uniforms, equipment. So they were still at the time at 17, rotation 17 into 18. The PRC was still very heavily reliant on our support. And it was about a 20 to 80%, so 20% Australian forces to 80% to PRC or partner force was the ratio. I think it was about that. People will correct me, I'm sure. It was around that ratio that we're meant to have for mission profiles. And that means, we've got to make sure that they're equipped and they're trained and they're seamless and integrated with our systems and tactics, techniques, and procedures. Now, Mido Khan is the commander of was the commander of say was because he's since been greased. Someone went into the post our return to Australia, completely extraction. Someone went into the Kandak outside in Tarankout with a vest and blew him up. Bits of Mido all over the wall, part of him. So, no partner forces to protect him or to doesn't have the power anymore. Afghans have good memories, so the Talibs. But he was in command of that, and we needed to make sure that they got the stuff that they required, and often that was through they wouldn't operate unless they had time to do. So we have to be culturally sensitive as well as knowing that their system is corrupt. I mean, a Western/US logistics system probably doesn't work on an Afghan barter kind of system where tribal warlords run the country and have for centuries.
Yeah, thousands.
So
of years.
How are you going to put that on? And you know what happened. I mean, everyone knows what happened as soon as.
Yeah.
So that was the challenge. And when I was over there, we were told to start turning the taps off. So how do you get a reliant, that has been, drinking the mother's milk from, a coalition force for the last, 12 years, or say 7 years, 7 years, not 12, to start turning the taps off without, first of all, pissing them off, angering them, negotiating with corrupt leadership, I'd say call it leadership loosely, an Afghan system. That was the challenge. And we did it, you catch flies with honey. You have to. You don't catch it with vinegar. And so it's relationship building. So we're flying everywhere, making friends and influencing people. What we can do for you, what you can do for us, not without, no corruption involved, but this is what we're talking about. That was challenging. So I'd go into, I'd get, and of course, and I think, have you had him on, I don't know if you've had him on your potty before, CO over there. Yeah, so, Langer's, Ian Langford was our CO at the time and of Rotation 18, and I can't talk more highly of an individual. He's just the right man. I was hoping, well, that was what everyone was hoping, and expecting he'd be Chief of Army, even CDF one day.
Go back and listen to episode 95. Ian Langford is, as Damo has said, is an absolute... You want to know about the whole Afghanistan war? Go back and listen to that man. He is one of the smartest men and a true leader's leader.
He absolutely cares. He remembers his people.
Yep.
I don't know, a few years later, he ran into me when I was back down at Aslow, I think it was about 2019, and he was coming to addressing one of the courses, probably even LOAC, and he said, "Hey Damo, how you going? You right? You okay?" And look, just give you that Langer's compassion. He's just a good man. He's a very intelligent, smart operator. Looks after his people, and it's just a shame that got wrapped up in all that, I'd say, bullshit.
Wokeness, yep.
And Caitlin is lovely as well. His wife Caitlin, and again another superb individual. Who medical corps as well. So,
and mate, he started out in artillery. That's the thing. Didn't start in infantry.
So that's why you have to yell at him. He's
and he's a absolute weapon of a man. And yeah,
top bloke.
Go back and do yourself a favour and listen. You will not be disappointed in Langer's episode.
I know he's in private life now and private
killing it.
But man, it'd be great if he entered public life, because he's the kind of leader Australia needs.
Yeah.
Not just being selfish to defence, but I think he's the kind of guy that needs to be.
Oh.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said a better word, mate.
But Langers was in charge, and he remember when I got in there, he said, "Mate, do what you need. Do what you need to do to get the mission done." And so I did. So I flew around in every bloody aircraft I possibly could. Didn't wait around for an Australian aircraft. And I had to go around any. I traded Red Bull slabs for flights on DA flights. In fact, I go into our little tack room. I call it a tack room. There's no horse tack, mate, by the way. But it's our tack room, but also our storeroom. And prep room, ready room. And our storerooms adjoining it, all in a cage. And I go, Bawley, what have we got that much bloody Red Bull? There's floor-to-ceiling stacks of Red Bull. I said, do I need to put no, put more in. I mean, it was our negotiation. It was not only the PRC who were addicted to it, but we used it to bargain and barter to get what we needed to get done. And mate, Red Bull, big deal. But
it's shit, mate.
It's awful.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it tastes like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's crap.
Like camel piss. I don't know, but not that I've said I've drank camel piss, but Red Bull gives you, doesn't give me wings. Did give me wings, because I traded it in to get a flight on a DAA flight, mate, or to get on a Civi flight, Columbia flight, whatever. I get on any kind of aircraft I could with my mentee, recital him, or whoever I need, and my interpreter, and I'll be there quickly, just to get the mission done. And knowing that how slow the system is, and even with an overlay of our Western logistics system, and that's what I call it, NATO logistics system, on a ancient frickin' 14th century bloody model, knowing that I had to do that. So I got everything I'd done I could get done. And we had some wins, and we had some headbutt the frickin' bloody, the Connex bloody door moments where it was extremely frustrating. And it can be really frustrating, but also stressful because of the dangers, that, mate, remember one flight, we were on a DA flight, so we had to get from Kandahar into Kabul, and the flight was doing a divert through Herat, and it was a little twin-engine cigar, I'd call it. I think it was a Beechcraft. I don't remember what it was. It was a pretty good aircraft, and the pilots were ex-military, American. Great pilots. A senior pilot, I'd say, he's been in his late 60s, mid-60s, and a junior pilot. And took off, flew over to Herat, picked up another couple of Afghans and another, I would say, DEA. For those listeners, the Drug Enforcement Agency, Department of Homeland Security, were doing the, counter-drug moment over there.
Yeah, so for the civilian listener, I'll fill in here, Damo. So essentially cutting the Taliban's money off from the drugs, and essentially the money would feed them to fight, and virtually cutting that out so that essentially stopping them flowing of money so that the guys could come in and keep fighting.
And also gives the US intelligence.
Exactly.
Great amount of US intelligence for that part of the world. I think that kind of opium was, at the time, about 40% of the world's world's stock or supply.
I recently heard a podcast, mate, that from one of the boys that was on those DA raids, and I think in their rotation they wiped $1 billion off the market. $1 billion just in their rotation.
What they do is they sell it in, and this is just a sidebar, in brown sugar. They call it brown sugar. So it's not a processed refined opium, but for those again, read up on it. Some fantastic books about the state of play in Afghanistan. They've been doing it for centuries, right? So, you see the farmers in their opium fields cutting poppies, and, with a little jar under it, milking their poppies. And there'd be brown sugar, and they ship it out in any way they possibly can. And a lot of it into Asia. Well, I mean, it is an Asian country, Afghanistan, but Southeast Asia and out that way. Smuggled in rugs or any other way they can possibly get it out. I mean, the borders are porous in Pakistan and across the border, and without being pissing off our any of our neighbours or any of our, not our neighbours but our Asian friends. But yeah, look, just read up on it. I mean, it's widely well known how that stuff got out. But yeah, DA flight. Herat picked them up. There's 5 of us on the, or 6 of us on the aircraft. Me and my interpreter and Syed Lim, and we were sitting up the front of the aircraft and right up the front, so we could see the cockpit's literally a metre from me to you away. And in the back, 3 others, an Afghan and 2 US in the back. It's on the radar from Herat, mountainous approach through. It's only a short flight, probably 35 minutes. Mountainous bloody terrain, and a ceiling for this aircraft is probably only about 20,000. So mountains are a bit just under that. Big storm coming our way. Big weather system. I'm talking red and black, purple in the middle of it. Oh, this is going to be interesting because I could see the radar. And we're starting to get a bit of wind shear, and we're also getting a few pockets, so we're dropping in and out and starting to do a bit of a roller coaster. And not a bit of a roller coaster, but a big roller coaster. We couldn't fly down, smash into a mountain, couldn't fly left or right into a mountain range, and so we just had to go through the bastard. We got struck by lightning. Struck. It, lightning aircraft, but yeah, that was interesting.
Were you saying a prayer that day as you were going through that, mate?
I was just. It was an interesting experience. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I like speed, horses, motorcycles, surfing, going to Bathurst, big surf, whatever. So roller coasters. It was like a roller coaster, and I thought, well, I can't do anything about it. You can't turn around because you're in it. And in fact, you turn around, you're going to just go with it. So we just had to go through the bastard, and we did. Got through it, and I got an Afghan. I just looked across at my interpreter and looked across at my, and I just with a grin on my face and shrugging my shoulders, and they just did the same thing. I guess being calm in a place of turmoil is different, but in the back, the Afghans are praying loudly. A little Akbar, and well, if we go down, we go down, and I'm not going to feel a thing.
No.
But we got through it, come through the other end, and just the approach from that side into Kabul is again through a mountain range, and this is pretty close to that hill over there, and flash out the side. Someone's fired an RPG at us. So he's banked to the left and chucked a few flares out. So I thought, what else can go wrong in this affair? What else can go wrong? All right, because it didn't hit us. So it was a packing a pot shot. So he called it in, and God knows, the US would have responded to it being a DA flight. But that would be a nice little mission for someone. But we land up at Kabul International Airport, or Kaya. And there's snow on the range. This is in October. It's unusual to have snow at that time of year. And both the pilots, or the senior pilot, looked at me and I said, mate, well done. He goes, I don't know about you, but that was pretty hairy. And I said, pretty hairy, mate.
That's an understatement.
And he's been, and I started talking to him after that. He'd been flying for like 40 years.
Yeah, right.
So... and 30 years of military and post-military flights, fighter aircraft, fixed wing. So, to get through that, that's a tick in the box, mate. And I was with the right crew, the right place, the right time. Just wasn't our time.
Unfortunately, you, as you said throughout this podcast, that your rotation was we lose a lot of guys on this rotation.
Yeah.
And you get through that's a real hairy moment. And unfortunately, you mentioned Nate and Merv they had a chopper crash and didn't make it.
Yeah. The back of your mind.
Yeah.
It is in the back of your mind.
And what's that like being, I've had a number of guests on those ramp services, mate. Does that hammer home why you're over there and you know, fighting and serving? Mate. Talk me through your what you remember.
So we have a service
ramp service.
We have a service on base. So at Camp Russell, we'd have a little chapel and a plinth with, lest we forget on it, it's within right in the centre of Camp Russell, and the whole rotation turns up, of course, you know, and pays their respects during our own private service before they get put onto a gun carriage or for a ramp service or on a long range patrol vehicle, and then we salute them as they go out, mate. It is, I don't know, for me. It hammers home that, yeah, we're in a war zone and and there's the chance of that, but it also means that, you know, and it's hard to put a finger on it, but particularly the guys who, you know, it's part of their mates that that they've lost intimately. And for me, it was like Scotty Smith, you know, was the last guy to go in our rotation. We lost on a mission, and he was I remember him and Stedenko, he's a great guy, the two engineers, and had a bit to do with ordering stuff for them, you know, and helping them out. But they'll training our guys or the PRCU how to, you know, about detect and, you know, detection. So ID detection or whatever else, and they, you know, 1 minute Scotty's there, and the next minute he's out on mission. The next minute you hear he's gone, and that it feels like it's almost not real. But then what brings it home is when you see them in the flag over the casket, and put him onto the plane. And what the hardest thing for me to see is put him on a plane, and we're saluting him off. The whole regiment's turning to, or the whole force element, or both force elements, or the whole SOTG is, you know, saluting as they taxi out and take off. And you go, well, that's it, you know. And it's a hole that you're not going to ever be able to fill. But it does bring back your own mortality, and you think you just, you know, well, yeah, the trainings that we received and we do is part of our force protection strategy, you know. But, you know, our equipment and, you know, the capabilities that we have. But in the end, you just don't know when your time's going to be up, or, you know, what's going to happen. It's that element of the unknown. You know, you can have done the thing a million times, let's say 100 times, and the 101st time might be the time that something different happens. Or they wise up to something. Or something happens, or something goes wrong. So you've got to think outside the square to either fix it or to be exposed. And that sits on your mind. You know, am I going to be interdicted by some bloke from the PRCU when I'm out? You know, is Sideline going to turn on me? And, you know, we typically disarm them when we flew with them over. You know, but you also want him as a gun if you get into trouble. You know, if your aircraft goes down somewhere or needs to make an emergency somewhere or whatever, and you're exposed somewhere. But I mean, we went outside the wire a couple of times, and we went out. In, you know, there were some other moments where things got really hairy. Other moments that I'm still dealing. Another moment, particularly, I'm still dealing with, where you know, of a moral injury, but dealing with it pretty well. But you just bog it away in your head. The same thing, you know. It's the same thing, and I've worked, you know, in emergency and been a nurse and been, you know, a frontline, you know, and pre-hospital care stuff, you know, with my past. and it just goes away somewhere into a vault, and you just don't want to. You don't deal with it. You just get on and do the job.
Compartmentalise it.
Yeah. You just get on and do the job. Somewhere that there's a wardrobe and it's just leaking in the dark. In the dark in your head, there's a cupboard, and there's something that's in there that's sort of got a rusty bottom, and it's just leaking and leaching out from underneath. It's like under the sink. It's leaching out and running out, and one day you're going to have to deal with that. It's just leaking out. And where does it leak out? It might come out in your dreams. I mean, my current problem is I'm having these vivid dreams. Now, whether it's real or it's fake, and I'm talking or yelling or doing something in my sleep. So it comes out. And it might not come out immediately. It might not come out 10 years later. It might come out 30 years later, or you might just come out all the time, and you just, no matter how much medication you take and how much sleep hygiene you have, it still comes out.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of being able to face it and
face it. This is the new norm for you.
And to be able to live with it. All right, so like arthritis, you break my ankle. All right, I've got metal in my ankle, and I get arthritis when it gets cold or whatever. It gets sore. Okay, I've also got now metal in my great toe because I've had no cartilage left in my toe. You got to live with it. Learn to live with it. Learn to adapt. Steve Slack, an archery coach of mine at Warrior Games in 2023, coined a phrase to me: "It's not what you can't do; it's what you can do." And it's, that's what you've got to do. You've got to be able to adapt and live with it, and know what triggers and what warning signs are, but also being able to deal with that. And that takes a long time to form new, pathways, neural pathways. And I'm not saying there's so many of us that have different stresses or stress factors that have that come from a place like that. That we're going through all different, and everyone's different. Everyone deals with it differently, and everyone's brain is different. That's the beautiful thing about humanity, isn't it? So I finished up my tour and I handed over and had a great tour. Brett Brighton was Bawley's replacement, and Brighto was I don't know what these tall bloody bears are, but he was 6'3" or 4" or something, and Bawley's 6'3" or 4". That these tall individuals.
Yes. Put us short asses to
target.
shame.
I mean, I'm 6 foot. I'm looking up to him. Going, oh, crap,
mate. I wish I was 6 foot. I'll look up to both of you.
and Brighto was over there, and Pat was over as the OC of the after. Mate, we had a good team, really good team, and we're starting to kick goals and starting to win some friends over there, and we had a bit of a tumultuous last part of the tour. We had to move the PRCU's Kandak around the place. So the way, just to go backtrack, the way we were set up and rigged was FE Alpha was typically SAS, and they had their own partner force. I think they were Coonish. And they kept pretty much to themselves, and we weren't partnering with those guys. As in, we're not partnering. We were partnering. We weren't training those guys as the Afghan force. Solely, really, the PRCU. And the PRCU, the Provincial Response Company, they're not like the regular police. They are special tactics, techniques, and procedures. So we teach them our work. And the other good thing was we were kind of protected, had some kind of arrangement with, Matullah Khan, the warlord.
Yep.
And we all know what happened to him as well. Another one who was
another one that's now
was greased. Post made a lot of money out of the war, but you can't take that with you if you're not winning friends and influencing people. But made some very good, had some very good relationships with those guys. Syed Lim was the kind of guy he was he's quite intelligent and young fella, young wife. Still trying for kids. I don't know if they could have kids. And 3 different dialects. Learning English. Could write, read, in his own dialect, and Pashtun and northern dialects as well. So he was handy to have, and at the end I just said, mate, best advice I'd give to you is to learn English and get there, or not in this particular order.
Get out of Afghanistan. Yeah,
get the hell out of there. I mean, our contractors that were managing, we're still having trouble. You know, the guys who are providing life support contracting services to our PRCU and our base have been relentlessly chased by the Taliban post-conflict, and I'm trying to get one of them across here at the moment. So and it's slow through red tape and him being holed up in Pakistan on the way out and trying to get his family and kids out is a slow process. And meanwhile, government's bringing everyone else from, it's like you just have to be from some other subcontinent country to get in.
Yeah.
The difficulties in that country, I was glad to see the end of it, but you leave a little piece of you over there. It's a beautiful nation. The kids, you just see the kids and what they're going through, and we did what we could, trying to bring them peace. You know, we did a lot of engineering tasks over there, but we spent a lot of blood and treasure over there, for sure.
And so you come back from that pretty hectic 6 months.
Into 2012, got married.
And how are you travelling mentally at this point? Are you still compartmentalising, or you're good?
I'm hyped up. But I'm fast. Right, I come back from there fast, and needing to decompress. And this is the thing about modern day conflict, international conflict, is that 1 minute you're doing your job overseas, and the next minute you're in AMAB in some, Al Minhad Air Base, which is now Camp Baird, which is an artificial environment. You know, you're having cupcakes and whatever else in.
The threat's not. Yeah, there's no threat. Yeah, you can.
And I was looking for my pistol on my hip all the time. Where is it? I feel naked without it. And then another day later, you clean your kit, you hand it all back in, and then you're in Australia within 72 hours of being in country. And hi, and you're in Sydney. People are honking the horn at you. I mean, the amount of vehicle time I did, yeah, mate. It was hard to adjust.
And that I've highlighted.
I was a bit angry, a lot angry. I had a massive mistrust of Islam, massive, if anything Islamic. Seeing what happened,
not much has
in the
changed.
Street in 2012.
Yeah, not much has changed, mate.
It's no, at the moment I don't mistrust them. I think there's this extremism, and there is brainwashing. I mean, people are being brainwashed, but what disgusts me, and this is, we've talked about this before and offline, is seeing the stuff that we did and to stop it from coming here, and then those mongrels march across the bridge, including retired and current politicians, flying ISIS flags.
Yep,
mate, across the Harbour Bridge in Sydney.
That's like a slap in the face to all of you.
Or the day after, October 7th, October 7th, and they're at the Opera House.
Yep.
My uncle Lionel designed was one of the architects on that Opera House project, and to have them sit on a national icon and just spit in the face of every, and that's what it is. We're trying to keep it out, and they're just openly marching and.
Well, mate, you've only got to look at Bondi.
Still happening, and that's what happened in Bondi.
Look what happened in Bondi.
It pisses me off.
Yep.
And it pisses off the veteran community.
Yeah, and this is where I'm gonna just.
It pisses off most Australians,
mate.
Actually.
It's disgusting, and what we saw in Bondi, and I'm gonna have a little bit of a rant here because, mate, as an Australian, mate. That doesn't happen here. It's not supposed to happen here. You guys fought for our freedoms, And I was just, honestly, we talk about 9/11 being America's, that changed their country. Bondi changed our country, mate. On the 14th of December, 2025, Australia it was never the same. And 15 innocent people and and I'm going to cry, a 10-year-old girl lost her life. Where's the leadership? Where's the leadership? Mate? It's disgusting.
Yeah. I don't want to get my suds up,
No, of course.
I'm not. But it's just a sad insight.
Mate, you're a father. You're a father.
Indictment on the mindset of this country, just to win votes.
Oh.
It should, if you want true leadership, you stand up for moral values.
Stand up for Australians.
Moral values and principles of what we have, what we're doing. And what are we doing? What's the point? If that's what they're going to do and unpick all of that through, look, don't get me wrong, there are some outstanding leaders in those echelons, up there who would disagree with what's going on there. And,
Of course, but you've only got to look, mate. They're still giving Taliban
what
money.
People can do, they can vote. They can, but people just aren't educated, mate.
Exactly.
I don't have enough education to understand, first of all, our tiers of government, how much reach our government has, and how much influence our government has, and how much influence they don't have. And that comes to the ballot box. So people want to go, I don't want to vote. Oh, they're all a bunch of arseholes. Well, think before you bloody put your numbers in the freaking that ballot box and ask a politician, where's your preferences going? No, well, not preference. What is your take on that? Ask them a question. Write to your politician, write to your member and say what, and if they don't get a response, you know what to do. Don't vote for the bastard.
Vote him out. Yep.
All right?
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, that's enough said on that. End of 2012, I come back, I'm up at my peak and, mate, thrown into preparing for a wedding. And it's rolling from one thing, and a removal, because, not a removal, but, it's not a removal, but a wedding, and sorting crap out. And I'm saying crap. It was a wedding, and it was a glorious time of year. Post Christmas and spending Christmas and going into Canberra, and then getting kids coming up to the wedding and reuniting with parents, reuniting with my family, and I wasn't me. My mind was elsewhere, and I think, Carly would say the first time you actually switched off is when I got in a hammock in Fiji when my, during a honeymoon, and I was actually able to turn off and rest and sleep. And that's the thing about decompression, which leads into next year, full-on year in 2013, where I was I handed over with John House, who was looking after my job while I was away, and he said, here you go. Third location decompression program, we're trialling it. We've got the funding for it. Take on the reins for that. So straight on into trying to sell a product that was a trial. Okay, what a third location decompression program is. So decompression is being able to get in a place, get a bit of education, and then just stop what you're doing and drop your baggage on the way back home instead of straight in an aircraft, straight home. Hi, darling. Bye, darling. I'm going to go on the piss with the blokes and just get on the piss and drink myself silly, or somehow make sense of what we just did. And they've been doing it for years. Some 9 rotations, 10 rotations, in and out of that country. This time, what do we have to do this for? The first rotation was the first program in the third location means not Australia, it's not in the country or in the area of operations. Was in a country that was neutral. Well, guess where they chose for political reasons and for strategic reasons was Malaysia. at Butterworth. What's Malaysia? It's an Islamic country. Call to prayer. Now, Butterworth was sent great location because, as in the base where we're doing it, because we had the full support of the Air Force, and I just couldn't speak more highly of those guys. But I don't think it was very well thought through that the location be Malaysia, because first of all, at an Air Force base, military, pushed around. Yeah, sure, they've got to have a bit of, embrace the suck for, this is what you should be doing when you get home, and look out for these warning signs and all that stuff, that stuff, which is the RTAP sort of stuff. Are you okay? Look out for these signs. And then they just drop their baggage and take off to a resort and get pissed and lay by a pool or on the beach for a couple of days. That's what they need to do. Well, I don't think Malaysia was the right idea, and evidently it wasn't. So later on, and unfortunately in 2013 we lost Cam, of course, Baird, and his FE came through. Andrew Hastie's and his FE came through, the FE Alpha. They had some issues. The whole hand saga cut. That was, and again, unfairly dealt with because, anyway, I'm not going to go into detail with that. I've got my own opinion of it. Is that, wow, education's got to be, the training has got to be, this is what you can and can't do, not, well, go ahead and do it. Laws of armed conflict and all that sort of stuff. We need to play by the rule book, but I don't think they've got a case to answer for, and evidently didn't. But they've had their issues on there, but coming through Malaysia wasn't. So later in that year, I was doing it again in Singapore, and here's me. I'm still up there. 2013. George Georgiadis, who I'm working for as a J07 at the time. A couple of different SOCOS at the time too, one in, one out. And then 2014 was, late 2013 we fell pregnant, or 2013 pregnant with Eva, our first and only daughter I had with Carly, our child, and she was born 11th of February, so she just turned 12 when this podcast has been recorded. So, baby at home, and then lots have happened that year. MH370 went down, and we had a bit of work with that, trying to secure where it went down, or not secure, but when that. Then another aircraft went down over Ukraine, allegedly shot down by the Russians. We had a bit of work in and out of that, and not that I was deployed with that, but we had the planning and the work to get to that point where Wheels Up is a lot of
logistics,
planning, a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of logistics.
Well, planning for health as well, and making sure that we have that in place, and then through a very busy. Also we had the G20 summit up in Brisbane, so a lot of moving wheels. And then at the end of that year, George went over on a trip to the US to speak with, I think he was doing some stuff about TACMED and whatever else. And I was the last week at work, and then Man Monis and the Link Cafe happened. Watch it unfold on the television. So you're always working. You can't take your foot off the accelerator there. You just have to work right up to the death. Okay, that's it, finished. Then you got to make sure that we're set up and ready to take on over Christmas. And if anything happened over Christmas, I'm still posted to the joint. And then a posting in 2015 down to the School of Health as the OPSO. So I had a good long Christmas holiday. Took the family to Yamina Beach and camped and went down the beach, and that was good. Under Tony Bushby, she allowed me to have and the school normally comes back quite early in the new year, but she was gracious to give me some extra time to kind of decompress. But roll on 2015 and OPSO, lots of stuff happening and a lot of moving wheels there, and then get selected in OC, a health special swing, the following year in 2016, under the CEO then, Alison Kane, and head off to a great start in that year. But I threw myself in just about everything outside Army. I was 2015. I was the vice president of Beechworth RSL, and then took on the presidency when the president left in 2015 after the 100th anniversary of Anzac Day, and then I went, "Oh, you are standing down." Well, I wasn't expecting that, so I took on the president at the Beechworth and a bunch of other extracurricular activities into sport with cricket. And another mate of mine at the time said, "Mate, what are you running from?" I said, "Nothing. I'm just doing community work, what I always do." "Mate, you're running away from something. What are you running away from?" Everyone else could see it except for me. 2016 it all came to a head, and haunted by images, and I was going to neck myself, which was not a good idea. I was going to drive into a tree. It was one day when I was driving the kids home to Beechworth. I had them for a weekend, and mates, I have faith, thankfully, and I sung out for help. I remember driving, and I was doing about 250 k's an hour, if it can get up to that in the Kluger. It was around that, and just before I drew around the bend into the tree that I knew I was going to go for, I was rebuked. The words of an Australian Jesus in my head: "Get behind me, Satan." And it was almost like a slap in the face. It was like he was sitting in the passenger seat. And I thought, "You're an idiot." The self-talk telling myself off. "You idiot, Damo, what are you doing? You're going to leave your kids, and you're going to leave a baby, and, what are you doing?" So I think, stressful. Yeah, so, I remember walking into the house after returning the kids, and my plan, and I had thought about it quite a lot, actually. Driving up and back from Wodonga to Beechworth Road is it's not a it's a lot safer now, but it hasn't been a safe road. But there's plenty of opportunities to do it. And I thought, you just think stupid. It's a stupid idea. Cars are survivable, not really at that speed. But what happens if I didn't die? Left with a vegetable, someone who's a terrible traumatic brain, or that big decision to make, or I took someone else out on the way in, and then kids without their father, but you don't think straight. Your brain's not thinking straight, and I thought, maybe I'm in a depression. I didn't know I had PTSD. I didn't know I was haunted by images, but I just put it away. I kept trying to mop that crap out that was leaking from under the sink. Put it back in the cupboard. Just put it back in the cupboard. One day I'm not going to face it, but that's 4 years after 2012, and that's been on my mind for a while. I was pretty angry. I couldn't drive because driving was a trigger, or being cut off, or being interdicted or something by in a vehicle. Was a trigger. So I saw Carly. I said, I've got to get help. And she was, oh my God, because we had an argument before I left the house. And it wasn't that was what I wanted to do it over. It was not that at all. And I don't know if I made that really painfully, that clear, putting it in neon. But I picked up the phone, talked to my mate Mel McLennan, who was the OC of the... there's a lot of good things that were in place already, and whether it's a plan, great, and I believe it is.
100%. I'm with you.
Mel said, "Damo, we got you. Come on in." And I went in there and just told my story and just bawled my eyes out. I haven't cried in years, and just bawled my eyes out. And he said, "I've got you." The first doctor was on duty then in the med centre, and I just, I'm embarrassed probably to say what stopped me from doing it was, and she said, "I believe you." because I'm a Christian. And then there's another doctor on duty that we helped on that night or that day, and said, Damien, I believe you. I'm a Christian. So the two doctors there were Christian and strong Christian women, and tell them a story there. But anyway, the next day I was in a private hospital for 3 weeks and on the recovery journey, medicated, get my sleep right, just starting to understand. And I was diagnosed at the time with major depressive disorder, but I know in that time I had post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's accumulative. So it's not just Afghanistan; it was other things. And
well, even your first deployment, you go back to that.
Mate, you can go back to that, but got a great psychologist, a great psychiatrist, and went on the recovery journey and returned to work over a gradual period of time. And I was back. My fitness was important at the time. I felt pretty much a slug, but I was just doing what I could. And 2017 was a pretty good year of back into the swing of things and going through the process. So I didn't care that I was J31. I didn't give a stuff. Tried out for Invictus Games in 2017 and wasn't successful. That was sort of 2018 Games. But introduced to adaptive sports at that time. And they said, you're not successful. I said, but you can always try it. I said, I don't plan on being back because, I think I'm going to be, in the right place. At the end of 2017, got posted internally in Wodonga. So I had the stability in Wodonga. With the family and with Eva as she's going to prep school and whatever else. And 2018, 2019 at Army School of Logistic Operations and the OPSO there. And that was, again, a great posting, being able to instruct when I could, have some influence in the junior officers' careers and within health and within wider logistics as well. Do some work in the mess and just really enjoy some stability. And then at the end of there, get posted 2020 into where I had quite a large bit of leave in my balance book, into Sydney. Great, we're going to Sydney. Carly's family are there in Sydney. We've got a great place in the Shire. The commute to Randwick would be only about an hour into work in a vehicle, so that's all right. The way home is about an hour and a half with the not so grand parade, and I was in, what I believe is stable, environment. But then the bushfires. I came back to work early. Missed out on that big slab of leave. Still in my book. Came back to work early. Straight up of removal. I still had another 3 weeks I planned on taking with Carly to ease back into Sydney and spend time with Eva and Carly and with the family. And then after the bushfire assist all wound up, I started watching a little thing called, my role at at Headquarters 17 was SO2 Health, and at the time, Dan Balancy, a great friend who I considered like a brother to me and a great mentor throughout my career. He was at Duntry when I was down there as a cadet. As a captain, and he was my CO, so SO1 Health, and a fantastic brigade commander in Craig Dobson. But I remember in stand-up is he calls everyone into his office, all the SO1s, and often I'd have to go and do stand-up on behalf of Dan. And you're not sitting down, you're standing up and you're giving like a minute of, this is what we're doing, and this is what we've been doing, and this is what's happening. And I was watching a little thing called COVID-19 unfold. And I said, look, it looks like it's going to be might be unfolding into something that we're going to need to take notice of. And I remember all the other SO1s looking at me with disdain. Oh, bullshit, Damo. What a load of shit. It's just a cold. Yeah. Don't count your chickens in the back of my head. Within a week, the Prime Minister was Scott Morrison was on the television saying, "Don't shake hands and then keep your spacing." And then
borders
a week later, and borders are shut, and we're sending a team over somewhere else overseas to
And then I'm still watching it unfold. That this city's going to shut down, and they're going, "Don't be an idiot. Everyone's shutting down, and everyone's going to work from home," which I loved because it gave me more time with the family. Homeschooling, more computer time, and but mate, I was just drinking too much. I was drinking a lot. I think everyone drank a lot during COVID, but mate, alcohol was something that we both turned. I guess Carly and I both turned to, but more so me. And when I'm starting to see things, disturbance in my sleep again, but also, some triggers, yelling at the TV, impatience, not that I had to drive anywhere. So, look, at the time, I got a staffy, and I'd walk my dog every day. Luckily, I was able to walk, so I walk 5Ks, at least 5 or 6Ks every day down to the beach and back. And that was helpful. But it was just, thought, things aren't quite right. So I go check in. Time to check in again. Trying to talk to the doctor. Trying to get in the psych team involved. And I still wasn't diagnosed with PTSD. Still had that diagnosis. So I was still, major depressive disorder. So they put me back on some medication. GP that I had on base in 17, ex-RAFI, top bloke. Got a great psychiatrist who dealt with dozens of military, knew the system well. And my psychologist, Dave, said, and Dave, again, a great guy, military reservist, but knows his operational health well. We got diagnosed with PTSD and started doing some exposure therapy, and that's something I really needed to do and address. Exhausting, absolutely exhausting exposure therapy. I still think it was so helpful for me to open that cupboard that was leaking stuff and start actually looking at it. Particularly one or two events that that really would trigger me, and the moral injury. Goal 3 in discharge, I think I need to do. Mate, arthritis started setting in my hip. I had hip surgery, by the way, in Canberra to address a hip problem. All sorts of weight carriage related issues, parachuting issues that I sustained. Mate, it does accumulate. Deaf as a post, mate. Hearing is bloody a problem. But just getting on top of that, back in the pool, starting to do some fitness stuff again. Mate, Julie, DVA, all claims in. DVA were helpful, but it was time to go. And it was time to go, and I discharged at the end of 2021.
And, mate, I want to highlight this right now is after 26 years of service, mate, you discharge and you come to that hard decision to transition, and mate, every veteran and first responder I've ever spoken to struggle with transition. How was your transition?
I had plenty of distractions. I was renovating a house. I sunk on my superannuation. Members' contribution, I contributed quite a bit. Salary sacrifice, a bit of super, which I recommend to anyone, by the way, to put a bit of extra if you're still at work, and because it does accumulate pretty well, but also it will set you up later in life. But I sunk a lot into this house. Got 5 acres, got a horse, renovated the hell out of this house, and that kept me busy. Then other things kept me busy, like slashing on a tractor. Had an old Fergie T20, had to sell it because that was became a little dangerous. They call them the Widowmaker.
Yes.
The old grey.
Yes.
Fergie, but ended up getting a John Deere. I was living the dream, mate. But getting back into sport, to Warrior Games, that was an amazing opportunity. Right, Warrior Games. Before Warrior Games, I went over and supported Bawley as his +1 over in Invictus Games, and got introduced to the Invictus community before Warrior, and met
the coaches and the staff and the other athletes, and saw what it did to help in their recovery program. And mate, I was still, turning to negative coping strategies, really bad negative coping strategies. Still, there's just a. I was marking time. I would say, marking up and down the spot. I spent some time in hospital down at Richmond at the doing the PTSD program at St John of Gaunt Hospital.
Yep.
Amazing.
Out at North Richmond. Yep. I know where that is. Yep.
Yep. Had some, shot between the ears, between the eyes, sort of home truths, mate. You really, you need to, maybe you need a little bit of chemotherapy. And the professor, he was sensational. Been able to get amongst that community as well. And so, I'm not the only one. So to be able to share, not my stories, but to share our conditions together. All the crazies putting 2 pencils up your nose and the underwear on your head. But to be able to have that, hey, we've got your back. We're in this together.
Yep.
Police service, fire service as well, AMBOs, the military as well. Met some, some great friends. And I made my Mamby, who spent 17 years in the police. And I'm hoping you can get on his program. Mamby, mate, he was highway patrol, and the stories that him and I have shared, it's just, the boys in blue and the boys and girls in blue, they get exposed to on a frequent and regular basis. And I know you've got a lot on your program, but to be able to do that was helpful, really helpful, to learn a bit more about myself. But mate, there's still some things I need to deal with, but through sport, I think that was a great opportunity, and to be able to support Borley over there. But mate, Carly and I really went through another trauma at home, on the home front, which I won't go into detail, but that was a big setback for me and for Carly, and we really probably didn't ever recover from that. And we went our separate ways at the start of last year. But having the veteran community around has been amazing, and having my faith as something to anchor to. I met, not that we're together, but I met my current partner now, Camille, actually when we were supporting in the Invictus Games. She was in supporting another athlete, JD, and JD now have applied for Invictus in Birmingham in 27. But through that program, we're now training together, mate. Commando, ex-commando, and once you're commando, I was commando, but the two of us are swimming together and about to, play pickleball together up in God's country in South East Queensland, mate. And through sport, we're able to, it's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. And archery, mate, I did seated volleyball and competed in the seated volleyball championships, national championships last year in a Queensland team. I know I'm a New South Welshman, and I'm a blue dyed in the butt. Now, rugby league's another thing. Through sport, Masters Rugby League. You can basically play touch if you want to and wear different coloured shorts for Masters. It's a different format of the sport, but it's not what you can't do; it's can do. Again, I love that.
Purpose.
I'm going to write that on a tattoo that somewhere on my body. It's having some kind of purpose, and now I'm into blacksmithing, mindfulness activities. I had to sell my horses, but back on the horse again after many years away. But and in the workshop and hitting steel with Dad in the workshop is it's pretty special.
Therapeutic, yeah. And mate, I'll have to come up and have a hit with you, mate. When I come back up to Toowoomba, mate, I'll definitely come up and have a hit and see if what we. I mean, I'm no blacksmith, but I'll have a hit.
Oh,
anyway.
Mate, anyone can hit a bit of steel and heat it up, but it's what you turn it into, mate.
Exactly.
There's no mistakes. If you're unhappy with it, just heat it up again.
Exactly. And mate, and I've got a few final questions before we wrap it up. And, mate, as I said, it's been an honour to have you on and share your story because we've been mates for a long time now. We've been teeing this up for a very, very long time. And, mate, to capture your story, and this is why I do it, mate. This is why I capture. It's capturing it for your daughter. It's capturing it for your grandchildren going forward because, mate, we lock these podcasts away forever and, mate, there's guys that are no longer here anymore. And just think, like we were too late with the World War One vets. Like, we got to them too late. A lot of World War Two guys, same thing. Vietnam, Korea. The contemporary veterans have been fantastic coming forward to lock your stories in for history. And, mate, all that you've been through and knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self and would he listen?
Yeah, that is a really good question. And having listened to your podcast, I know that question's coming up. But, mate, first thing is we're so hard on ourselves. All of us are so hard on ourselves. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm such a critic of my own abilities and my own always second guess myself or have negative talk. Take the negative talk out. Like if I hit my thumb or something, I used to say, "You bloody dickhead." Take that away because when the talk, it's out loud or it's in your head. It's not just about the negative talk to yourself. Then comes out to others, and then it's the way you approach others as well. You've got to be kind to yourself. We're human, first of all. We make mistakes. We're also we're not infallible, mate. We're prone, and we have a soul that can get hurt. You've got to be able to be kind to yourself. And how do you do that? Well, my current psychologist, Matt, unicorn moments, mate. Just the little moments, the little things. Yep. Just calm your mind. Get into things like, go and surf. Go for a walk your dog. Get out and enjoy a sunset. It doesn't have to be substance related, You don't have to drink. Mate, make a cup of tea. Make it for your mum, your dad, your partner, your wife, your husband, your kids. Spend some time, extra time. Put everything away and just spend some time for you and for them. But for yourself, those unicorn moments, go out on the weekend and have some fun. That you need to do self-care. And that's what I'd tell my younger self. Just be kind to yourself. And one path might shut down. There's always another path.
Great advice, mate. And I think any young listener out there that listens to this is just enjoy the journey too. Like I know, mate, and you and I have spoken off air a lot about faith. And when I was in my 20s, mate, I always had it. But then in my 20s, I was like, I can't. It's not the cool thing. So I'll turn away from it. And then I got into my 30s and went, no, that's who I am. And I think, mate, and you'd know this as well because you're a little bit older than me. But I think when you hit in your 30s, you get to a point you go, I don't give a shit. Like what I worried about in my 20s meant nothing. Like and now I'm in my 30s, mate. I'm doing what's right for me and what makes me feel good. And people might think it's weird.
The old adage, put your own oxygen mask on
exactly.
first, eh?
You got to look after you first.
You've got to do that, and if you don't, who else is going to?
Exactly.
Self-help is really important.
Absolutely.
Stop and listen. Listen to podcasts or something like that. Listen to music. Tune out for now and then because this world will tell you this. You have to do that. We'll
social media. Yeah.
To get out of the social media, put your phone down.
Yep.
Don't worry what they're doing. Who cares? Just enjoy the moments, the quiet moments, and the journey is the journey is always going to have its ups and downs, mate.
Absolutely,
and there's a way out of it.
Oh, there is, mate.
Of the dark moments, you can. There's always
We've both come out of them, and there's a lot of help. There's more help than you realise. That you're not alone, and mate, it took me 12 years ago. I was there, and I was standing on the edge and about to end my life, and mate, it was faith that helped me, and then others, and support of family and friends. And mate, I 100% agree with you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And speaking up was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It took courage, but speaking up saved my life, and that's how the podcast was born, mate, because of that speaking up. And I look at where I am, mate, and I pinch myself to think I met amazing friends like you and Bally and so many others, and we've captured history, mate. So, yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with what Damo said, is there is light at the end of the tunnel. And, mate, what advice would you give anyone who is thinking of joining the military and also going down the medical path, even if they don't choose to serve in the military, but that medical path, whether it be join the ambos, become a paramedic, or go and do what you did and become a nurse?
From being a carer, or rescue, or to look after someone's health because they can't themselves, or they're in their worst time in their life, or they're dying, or they're in a critical part of their life, or they need help, is something of a gift, and I think if someone's considering, for sure, do it, and it's worth every single bit of study, and but go out and do it. Go and volunteer and find out whether it's for you. You can volunteer in all sorts of organisations and figure out whether what you can provide and what you can do. There's always something. But military-wise, mate, I'd do it all over again, for sure.
So it was the best decision for you, mate, looking back
absolutely. Now? Mate, I look back at my career and with gratitude, and it was a privilege and an honour to serve, and to meet all those amazing individuals, incredible people along the journey, and they're still mates for life.
Absolutely.
Mates come and go, but those military mates, they've always been around. And I'd jump at the chance. You do it, you can do it. If you're able to do it, do it.
And I know for you, coming from your dad was a first responder, that path, you had that choice to go down that route, but mate, you chose the military, and mate, distinguished career, multiple deployments, and as you've just said, mates for life, that you cannot see them for years, mate, catch up with them, and it's like
it's like yesterday.
Yeah, it's like yesterday.
It's like, hey, pick up the phone. Mate, we're always checking in, and always checking in on each other. It's a great honour, and my mates, men and women of our military are just they're just such a gift. Being together in that, and to be out on the other end, to look back at my, I look back with again with great gratitude.
Absolutely. And mate, what are your plans now going into the future? Now that you, as you've said, you've transitioned out and now you're a civilian. What are your plans? Going forward.
Mate. The plan, a great plan doesn't last past HER, mate. I just want to get the most out of life. I do want to travel with Camille, and as we, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 52 in a week and a bit. So we got some little kids. I want to do the best, pass on a legacy to my kids. Number one, so be the best example I can be for them. But they're going, oh yeah, okay, whatever. That's an easy throw. But mate, do anything I can to look after me, but also to leave a legacy. But do a bit of blacksmithing, maybe go to a market, travel, do a bit more travel.
Yep,
I love travelling. It's got a a new car and four-wheel drive, so go and see a bit more of outback Australia. I've seen been too long since I've been out there again. So go and see a bit more of Australia, and then maybe see where we go overseas.
I think, mate, as you have said, you've served your country for 26 years and you haven't come through unscathed, but I think now, mate, you've earned the right to go and have some you time, mate, and actually just, I think you've given your service, mate, and mate, I can't wait to see what comes next for you, mate. Mate, as I said, I will definitely come up and we'll have a hit with the blacksmithing. And mate, if people want to get in touch with you, whether it be, I know some civilians might listen to this, or first responders will listen to this and what are thinking about transition, how they get in touch with you. Just, you've gone through it, and you can be. I say this with every podcast: is you can help guys that are in and get them to the other side, because as I've said, I've done over 160 of these now, and transition is always that hard step for both military and first responders. How do they get in touch with you?
Sure, mate, yeah. My socials are open. So Facebook is open Facebook page, so they can go and find me. So, and if I don't respond, if I don't, it's Damo, not Damien, but Damo is my name, Damo Batty. And just reach out, follow if you want to check out. And that's why I've got that page open, not because, and I like sharing my life with you, because I've got lots of people over Australia.
100%
sharing some great photos and, what we can do. It's important to be able to share moments. Share the unicorn moment.
Yep.
Because that's what you can do. You don't have to spend a lot of money either.
Mate, we're stronger together. We are stronger together. Yeah. That's what it is. And you look at a piece of steel. You hit it, you break it, you heat it up, you make it weak, and then you bend it and shape it into how you want to shape it. So we're stronger together. We are. And mate, I'm going to finish. What a great way to wrap up the podcast. And as I've said, you've served your country with honour and brought pride to your family. Your story is one of true grit, determination, and never giving up. You have achieved so much in your career, and you've persevered when others wouldn't. And, mate, I want to thank you for what you do for veterans now, and first responders and people who are struggling with mental health. I know you're a beacon of light to help anyone. And, mate, I appreciate you coming on True Blue and sharing your story. Thanks, mate.
Mate, it's a pleasure. Thanks for all you do too, mate. It's an honour to call you brother.
Yeah,
mate of mine. And keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, brother.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to True Blue Conversations with your host, Adam Bloom. Real talk with those that pledge to keep us safe with grit, sacrifice, and determination. See you next time.